Hey everybody, my name is Drew and
Woo!
welcome. Today we have a very special discussion. I'm joined by my friend Max. What's up, Max? How's it going?
What's up? What's up? My cat just like jumped.
Well, today is a very special discussion. We're going to be talking about
Mm.
7 rules of life and mindfulness, as this is mindfulness kid. But I do want to tell everybody you know, do you want to share like how we know each other?
Yeah, we met in Vegas like a month ago at the NAB show. And yeah, we kind of just like hit it off. I remember like some of the first things you said to me, and you're kind of introducing yourself. You're like, you know the show Cobra Kai? I was like, I do know the show Cobra Kai. And then we talked about Cobra Kai, and then we started spitting Star Wars references back and forth to each other. It was great. It was a good time.
Yeah, it's so funny because whenever someone asks me, "What do you do?" Like what do you do for a
Mhm.
living, or what do you do? I always follow up. Do you know Cobra Kai?
Do you
Because
know
it's
Cobra
like,
Kai?
because then it's
Right.
easier for me to like
To kind of get
explain.
into it, because if
Um,
you come out the gate and you're like, uh, yeah, I'm Cobra Kai kid. I'm like, what?
so
If they because if they don't know what Cobra Kai
you make
is,
a
they're
channel
like,
about snakes. Like, is that
yeah,
you
cobras?
you
Are
talk
you?
about snakes? Like
Yeah, what is that?
Kai,
Or you should rebrand to Eagle Fang, Eagle Fang kid.
Eagle Fang kid,
There
the
you go.
Miyagi-Do kid.
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, we met at the NAB show, National Association of Broadcasters. It was a lot of fun. Your booth was like right where I was hanging out for most of the time. So
Yeah, that
yeah,
looked out.
we just what's the expression? Clicked,
Clicked, clicked.
clicked up, clicked off. Like
We
what's the
clicked up. Clicked
click
up sounds pretty
or is
cool.
that not how is that not the
I don't
term?
know what I'm 25 at this point, so I'm starting to see the disconnection with like all of the fads and things now. So
Like
I
I'm
have no
21
idea.
and I feel like I'm disconnected
Yeah.
from a lot of that. Like, like I feel like if you're not on TikTok constantly, you don't know the
Hmm.
stuff. And I don't have TikTok, so
I
it's like,
used to be kind of in it. I used to be on TikTok, but I got off because of mindfulness things. So it
yeah,
kind of lines up with what we're talking about today.
yeah, we're gonna have to get into that. So we have a very fun discussion ahead. So the reason why I asked Max if he wanted to do this is because yeah, we only like knew each other for a few days, but we had some really deep
We did. We
conversations.
did. We really did.
And it was really, really like it was really cool. It was really
Yeah, it was
cool.
awesome. It was the highlight of the trip for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, for me personally, it's like, you meet a lot of people in life, but you don't just like go right into these like these heavy,
Mhm.
heavy conversations. And we ain't like, hey, I'm Drew. Let's talk about our trauma. Like, but
Right.
it took a little time.
Right, exactly. But yeah, no, but we definitely were not icebreakers. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're gonna we're gonna be talking about 7 rules of life. We're gonna get into it. And these are very, very important things.
Mhm.
Now these aren't the only 7 rules of life. I
Right, of
literally went
course.
online and found a list. So we're gonna be like, this is also not the list that we chose. This was an online list, 7 rules of life. Once again, not the only 7 rules. So we're going to
Mhm.
go through it and, we can say whether we agree, whether we disagree, and whether maybe there's some modification to it.
Mhm. Right.
Because for everyone, it's different.
Right.
I might feel something is strong. You might feel the same or the opposite. I don't know. We'll get
Well, I
into it.
think that's kind of the beauty of it, right? Is that there is no like one really kind of answer to anything. And if you hear somebody like preaching about something, and um it's where am I going with that? um that's kind of the beauty of it, right? Is that you have to kind of make it your own, is what
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting at. um and if you hear somebody preaching about something, you have to kind of take everything with a grain of salt, because they're kind of going through their own experiences, and you're going through your own experiences. So
For
I'm
sure.
getting a phone call. I'm getting
No, but
distracted.
no, but I totally get what you're saying. Like that's why I try not to say like guys do this or do that, and
Right.
because
Because
yeah,
you have to, I mean, it's great to get advice, and it's great to hear other people's perspectives on how they handle things, but at the end of the day, you know you best, and you know your own experiences, and you have to do what works for you. And sometimes you meet somebody, and your things just kind of line up a little bit, and it, you can kind of bounce off of each other a little bit easier, and
for sure. That's why
if that
like
makes sense.
no, completely. That's why like when sometimes people ask me for advice, I don't just say what I think right away. I actually what I do is I ask a lot of questions
Mm-hmm.
because like I also feel like it's better in a way if like if you're just asking questions, you're supporting without like telling someone what to do. And then in
Mm-hmm.
a way, like you could kind of maybe help them figure it out for themselves. So like they tell you a
Mm-hmm.
situation, it's like, how does that make you feel? And it's like, when they say, well, it doesn't make me feel that good. And it's like, well, there you go. Rather than me saying like, that's a crappy
I
situation
mean,
for you.
that sounds like something a therapist would do, right? Like, I'm full disclosure, I'm no therapist, and
Me
actually I have
neither.
never been to therapy. So what, I need to. But I mean, I just lucked out because my wife and I, we kind of work through a lot of our own
Mm,
stuff together, because for one, we can't afford therapy, so America.
mm,
uh and so we've kind of worked through a lot of our own things together, and it really boils down to just communicating, and being honest with what it is you're feeling and experiencing. And also, it's great to have somebody who's especially unbiased towards yourself, so they can kind of see you from an outside perspective, or if you have somebody you trust that can kind of say those things to you, or just kind of help mold you, I guess, if that makes sense.
for sure, for sure. We're gonna get into it all. I think when we go through these rules, it'll spark even more conversation and it'll
Mm-hmm.
lead us into different directions. So um
Absolutely.
let's get into it. The 7 rules of life.
Ooh,
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Fancy.
I like
So
that font, by the way.
oh, thank you. I made it.
That's you made that font?
Well, I didn't like make the font.
Oh.
I didn't like I didn't design the font, but I like made the like I chose the font.
I see. It's a good font. I think I can't remember what it's called, but I've used that font before.
This exact font.
Yeah, I remember
Oh.
the O and I remember the R.
Oh shoot.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
awesome.
I wish I should have saved it.
Anyway.
But anyway. All right. So let's get into our first rule of
Mm.
life. So our first rule is let it go, let it go.
Oh no, not
No,
again.
not again. Okay, now the first rule is let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Never ruin a good day by thinking about a bad yesterday. So,
Mm.
Max, the first rule of life, let it go. What do you think about that rule?
I think there's so much to unpack with just those 3 words. Because like what is it talking about? What are we letting go, and what are we not letting go?
Questions. See, you're asking questions. That's great.
Right.
You're not just like assuming
Mm-hmm.
and saying all this stuff. Like you're
Yeah,
getting context.
because I mean, I'm gonna say this to every single one of these rules.
Yeah.
It depends.
It
It
depends.
depends. Honestly, because like, let it go is like, for a lot of the little things, I think try not to like focus so much on them. Like, um, if you stub your toe, it's not like you ever have one of those days where you're just kind of like you're kind of every little thing just
Yep.
keeps adding up. Like you stub your toe and then it's like, oh, now your car won't start. And at the end of the day, those are all little things. And I think, and this is where the depends part comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I think it's great to let those things go and try not to dwell on them so much, because that's where they start to be connected, is because you're having those kind of similar experiences all at once, and you're connecting the dots. But if you kind of if you let those things go and only worry about the things that are kind of more important to worry about, but again, it depends. Where was I going with that? ADHD brain, man.
Well, it depends on maybe like the like how big of something, like maybe like no, continue your thought.
Yeah. But at the same time, like there are some things I think it's okay to hold grudges on, personally. Because, well, okay, but it depends.
Depends on what. Depends on what.
Depends on what.
Give me an example of something you wouldn't let go.
I mean, I have an example, but I don't know if I want to. Okay, say there's a person in your life that really negatively affects you and is not good for your personal growth. You don't have to be the one to try to fix them. You can. It's okay to, like, if they were if they had done something to you, or if they're not affecting your life in a positive way, it's okay to, I guess, to let them go, right? But that's kind of, you kind of still hold a grudge on them, kind of. But the thing to let go is your attachment to it. It's really vague, but does that kind of make sense?
It makes sense. Like letting go of the person, but also not letting go of like all the pain and just forgiving them. Is that what you mean?
You don't have to forgive to let go. Like those aren't entangled with each other. If somebody had done something that's like really awful, and you can how do you explain it? I don't know how to explain it.
I think also it's like, it's tough. Sometimes it's tough to let go. A lot of us want closure. And I think sometimes it's hard to let go when there's no closure. And sometimes you have no choice but to let go without that closure because of life. Because like life, just things pop up. And like if everything just went the exact way we wanted, like, okay, I'll let go of this person if XYZ happens, if I can talk to them one last time, if I can tell them how I feel. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes life will just happen. And that becomes a tough part, because then you kind of have to adjust. Okay, like I can't have that conversation with them. I can't get my feelings to them. How do I let go and move on? Because we don't live in the past. We live in the present. We live in the future. And I think if we like, there's certain expressions don't live in the past, which I think applies for most things. Because a lot of times it's the past, just constantly thinking about the past. If your head's in the past, how could you focus on now? But there's certain really nice memories that you want to keep, that you don't want to let go of. And that's where I think letting go is I actually have a song called Letting Go.
Oh,
Yeah.
you play it right now?
I could say what's the lyrics? Letting go. I'm not good at letting go. Take it slow. Don't rush in and take it slow. And there's more, but it's just like, it's hard. It's hard to let go.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you gotta be sure of if you do want to let something go. Sometimes you gotta be very sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else for that?
Yeah, let's kind of what if we circle back on let me just make
We could,
sure. Okay. Yeah, let's just like circle back on the let it go part.
yeah.
With the beginning there. And brain's gone.
You're letting go of the thoughts.
I'm letting go of the thoughts. They're escaping.
See, this is an intentional. You're letting go of the negative thoughts and only allowing the positive thoughts to come.
Right. I can't even think about it anymore. I gotta let it
go. There are some other ones on this list that do kind of tie into letting go.
Okay, so maybe we move on and
we can move on and we can
back.
yeah, there's one that is very similar and we can actually like compare them.
Okay.
So yeah, okay, you want to go to the next one?
So the next one is be yourself. Wait.
The next one is
be yourself.
Be yourself.
Be yourself. That's, I mean, I have a story kind of that involves this. There's a friend that I had, I want to say it was like first grade.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a really early memory. And I remember being bullied in around first grade for being like the weird kid. And as a kid, or as an adult looking back, it's like, oh, like you're not a weird kid. You're just different from other people and whatever. But at the time, it's like that felt to me like I was not normal, and not normal as in like there's something wrong with me kind of thing. But I had a friend in first grade that told me, you're not weird, you're unique. And for some reason that story like sticks with me every time I even hear the word weird, because this first grader is like completely changing my outlook on myself in first grade, which is, again, I'm still blown away by it. But yeah, I think there's a lot of societal pressure to be normal, I guess. But especially nowadays, I think we're kind of coming around on that term. Maybe it was just an early 2000s thing, but like it's brain fog again. I'm gonna take another sip of coffee.
No, I'm liking this story.
But yeah, just be okay with who you are. Being your authentic self. I think if you are being yourself with what's the word for it? Like aggressively yourself.
No,
it's kind of where I'm going with it. Unapologetically.
Yeah.
Is the word I'm looking for.
Nice.
If you are unapologetically yourself and you're just so confident with who you are, I feel like it's actually more, I don't know, welcoming, I guess. People appreciate it more. And people, like, even the people who would normally call you weird are maybe even at that point just doing it because of jealousy, because they're like, wow, look at this person be so themselves and they don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
And
that's,
sorry, go ahead.
no, you go. You go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm just especially nowadays, and just like recently, with a lot of AI stuff that's been coming out. Like, I think the term authentic is gonna be even more important as time goes on, because everybody's using ChatGPT right now to like to turn in their homework assignments and whatever, So, like, the more authentic you can be, the more human you can be, and human meaning flaws and kind of weird, man. Like, it's more enjoyable, and it's just, especially for yourself, like, you don't have to like, I'm not sitting here saying that like it's gonna, you're not just gonna like flip a switch and then just constantly be super confident with who you are. Like, you're gonna have days, you're gonna have sometimes weeks, months, but I think it's just good to remember and remind yourself to be authentic and just not care what other people think. And as you get older, that kind of comes naturally. I think that comes from just being exhausted from caring about what other people think. Just from physically going through it. And again, sometimes it just comes with time, or it comes with, working on your confidence with yourself.
Yeah. And being yourself will attract the people that you want in your life. Because if you are pretending to be a certain way, you might attract people, but those people are going to like you for who they think you are rather than who you really are. And you actually told me a story back in Vegas that really stuck out with me about like, anytime I think about being myself, like, I'm like, I think about what you told me, and that was how you met your wife.
Oh yeah.
With the hat, because you were wearing
with
a
this
certain
hat right here.
No way.
I got it right here. It's not the exact same hat.
It's not,
but
wait,
okay, it's the exact same hat, but not the hat. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Here's the hat, but it's not the hat.
The original hat, like it fell apart and whatnot. But my boss actually bought me that for my birthday.
Oh, nice.
Got that hat, which is the hat, but not.
Did he know?
I told him the story about it, yeah, and he had found, and I had showed him like on Amazon, and then when my birthday came around, he had bought it. I'm like, that's awesome.
That's so nice.
It was
Wait,
a great
Ryan?
gift. Yeah, Ryan. Yeah.
Oh my god,
he bought that for me.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
that was a pretty good gift.
Yeah, wait, can you just give everybody like the story with the hat, like why?
Yeah,
with being yourself and what that could do for you, right? Because also I will say, like, Star Wars, some not me, not everybody, but certain people think Star Wars is for nerds or weird. So like, take it away.
Yeah. I don't even know where to start on that. I guess I'll just say the story and then maybe backtrack from there. I'll give the short version.
Yeah.
I'm working at Dairy Queen at the time. This is actually, I just calculated this like yesterday.
Yeah.
Was 9 years ago that I started.
Wow.
So
you were how old?
How long was 9 years ago?
Oh god.
2015. I would have been 17.
Okay.
I would have been 17. No.
I don't know. 16.
9 years ago right now, I would have been
17.
16.
So 16.
But 9 years ago, when I met my wife at Dairy Queen, I was 17.
Yeah.
Right? Specifics don't matter.
Okay? The people need to know. Were you 16?
People need to know. What age was he? Dang,
This is a
dude.
very big difference.
It matters. It matters. Anyway, let me backtrack.
You were 16 and a half.
I was 16 and a half thousand years old, and I was working at Dairy Queen at the time. I picked up a shift that I didn't want to pick it up. So I wasn't supposed to work this day. And it's November at a Dairy Queen without a grill. So it's just ice cream. So nobody's coming to get ice cream in November. So we're super slow. And a drive-through comes through, and I hate taking the drive-throughs because you have to talk to people. I don't like talking to people. And but everybody else like ran to the front of the store, and I'm like, fine, I'll take the drive-through. So I take the drive-through, and they order 2 small peppermint Oreo blizzards. I remember the blizzards.
Wow.
And so this is my now wife and her mom coming through the drive-through and ordering those. I take their money and everything, and I go back and help make the ice cream because it's November, so there's only like 3 of us there. And I go help make them, and I come back around, and her mom says to me, "My daughter likes your hat." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And because at the time I'm wearing this hat, Star Wars hat. So a girl liked my Star Wars hat? Oh, okay. Like, that was awesome. And so then they leave, and I walk around the corner, and I tell the story to my coworkers, and they're like, "Oh, you know what you should have said? You should have said, you know what else your daughter would like? My number." And I'm like, "Oh, dang it, that's a good idea. I should have said that." But I didn't. But I thought in my head, I'm like, if it's meant to be, then something will happen. I literally had that thought, and I'm like, if it's meant to be, something will happen. And I wake up the next morning to a text from one of her friends on Facebook Messenger, saying like, "Hey, like my friend came through the other night and was like, thought you were really cute and stuff, and like want to know, are you single and whatever? And if you are, like, here's her number." And so then from there, 9 years later, here we are.
Wow. And and it was I mean, the Star Wars hat, she said that was the first thing she said. "I like your hat."
Yeah.
And if you weren't wearing that Star Wars hat, I mean, maybe
if I wasn't being myself, like I
yourself.
proudly wore my Star Wars memorabilia, like, yeah, I'm proud to be a nerd because, and actually what's crazy about that is I feel like subconsciously I'm being myself, which is a little quirky and weird, right? And so I feel like I subconsciously chose to represent my Star Wars-ness because of that story from first grade. Like, you're unique and just be who you're going to be, basically. And so I feel like I subconsciously chose to wear that hat because of that. And now I'm married 9 years later.
For sure. You see, like, guys, that when I heard that story, that inspired me because now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk around town wearing
a Star Wars hat. Something will happen.
A Cobra Kai shirt.
Oh,
I'm going to wear Baby Yoda pants.
And everything.
I'm going to go all dripped out in all my favorite shows and movies. And then the love
you
of my
get the
life.
Lightning McQueen Crocs too. Those are essential.
Exactly. And then like the love of my life will just come to me and say, "Oh my God, I love that."
Just like you were saying earlier, dude, like if you are being yourself, it'll attract the right people. Honestly, whether it's relationships, like romantic relationships, or just friendships or coworkers, like, I think what it is a lot of times we're told not to be ourselves, and not deliberately, but like through just life. And so it's comforting to see other people being themselves, especially if you can see yourself in that person as well. Like, they can see you being yourself, and that's
yeah.
No,
I get what you're saying, and I think something that I never really thought about, but even just wearing like a t-shirt of something that you like,
Mhm.
that could be like a great conversation starter.
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, you see what it did for you wearing the hat, wearing the
Mhm.
Star Wars hat, but like, you know, if I see someone wearing a Star Wars shirt or a Indiana Jones shirt, Cobra Kai, I'm like, hey, nice shirt, man. And then like sometimes it sparks a conversation
Mhm.
and even a friendship. And it's like right there, you're like, it's not, there's like not this awkwardness of like just walking up to a stranger being like,
Mhm.
hey, how's it going? It's like there's a conversation
Right.
starter. But
Right.
I think one of the big reasons why a lot of people aren't themselves and they try to be other people is because like of fear
Mhm.
and fear of what others will think and
Mhm.
fear of even fear of failing. Like I've avoided certain projects that maybe that show who I am because I think they will fail.
Mhm.
And sometimes you got to just be yourself and do what you want to do, what speaks to you, and not worry about that other stuff. I have a story. I was in middle school and I was doing like, you know, like ever since I was like in elementary school, I would do these like Lego animations and I would
Mhm.
post them on
Mhm.
YouTube and like I loved it. And you know, on one hand, it's like oh you're doing the Lego animations. That's so weird. But like I actually thought like I'm a filmmaker and I was like, you know what, like these are really cool. And I'm actually like telling some like nice stories here. You know, because I don't have access to a cast. Like, if you watch them, if you give it a try, like they're pretty good. Like, I felt
Yeah.
confident in them. Um, and I was in middle school, and you know, this was my secret. You know, like I
Mhm.
didn't tell anybody. You know, this is a big secret, and someone in my homeroom like found it, found the channel, sits across from the room, and like yelled it out, like, "Hey, Drew, I heard you have a Lego channel," and like my whole world just like
Oh.
sank. Everybody started laughing, and like it was the most embarrassing, terrible thing. Um, and then I remember just being like so upset, not doing it like for a while, um, because I was afraid to be myself and embrace
Mhm.
myself. And I think especially when you're younger, I think
Mhm.
like you were mentioning, like as you got older, it got easier. And I think,
Mhm.
um, yeah, just when you're younger, it's so important. It's so tough for these kids. I feel so bad for these kids in, you know, elementary, middle, high school because like the whole thing is everybody wants to fit in because you're constantly with this group
Mhm.
and you see them being happy and you want to be happy too. And I don't it's hard for a kid to realize to be themselves. So that's why I don't know, like that's where the
Mhm.
parents and guardians come in. That's where and teachers. Um, I don't know. That's where it comes in. Where like that's when they got to step up and say like,
Mhm.
you know, like it's okay. Like I don't know, like stay in touch with what's going on at
Right.
for kids and their schools, rather than just letting them, you know, I don't know. There's so many kids that like kids will go off to school for 7 hours a day, right?
Mhm.
And the parents don't know what they're going through unless they ask or unless they share. Like when I,
Mhm.
you know, down the line have kids of my own, that's going to be something very important to me. It's like, how was school? Um, what happened? And if there was a negative experience, bullying or whatever, it's like those aren't the people for you. You be you. Don't try and fit in with the bullies. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
like important, I feel.
Yeah. I think there's something you just brought up about uh saying kids go to school 7 hours a day, and as a parent, like you don't see them for 7 hours, and they're having 7 hours of an entire life experience.
5 days a week for 10 months a year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a little story to share about
Yeah.
something like that. Um, I think I don't know if it's like it kind of to me feels like an ego thing is where I'm going with this.
Mm.
Um, I I get so wrapped up in my own life, um, and my own problems and everything that you forget that other people are other people, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And so recently, my brother's 21 now. He like tells me some of these stories from high school, but I was out of high school by the time, like, I started college the same year he started high school.
Okay.
And so I was never with him at all for high school.
Mm.
And but he's still going off and doing his own thing, and I'm going to my college. And so to me, my life is fully wrapped up in this thing. But for him, his life is fully wrapped up in high school. And so recently he starts telling me some stories from high school, and I'm like, oh yeah, you went to high school. You had 4 years of 7 hours a day, 5 days a week of complete life experiences that I know nothing about.
Man.
And a lot of times, especially in high school, like, there's a lot that happens. There's a lot that goes through your mind and a lot that happens to you.
Oof.
And
yeah,
so I think what's important about that is to remember that even the person walking down the sidewalk is going through their own life experiences, and sometimes that can be really overwhelming. So try not to dwell on it too much, but I think that just allows just putting yourself in that mindset and knowing that other people are going through completely their own life experiences, I think just helps you have at least a base knowledge of empathy towards other people. And I think that's a good thing to have.
For sure. 100%. All right. You want to go to the next rule of life?
All right. You say this one.
Okay. So our next rule of life is give it time. Time heals almost everything. I think the key word is almost, because time doesn't heal everything. But wait, I have another song. I have another song, which I have a lyric that time can heal wounds, but not all scars fade. So like, time can heal certain wounds, but you have the scars. So what do you think about giving it time?
Yeah, absolutely. Giving that's something, especially when you're going through a hard time, is something you don't want to hear. Like, I don't want to hear that, like, it's going to get better, because in the moment it feels like it's never going to get better.
Yeah.
So to hear somebody say that it's tough, but it's true. Time does heal. And to give an example, I had another cat recently, who we had to give away because of his relationship with Batman. Like, it was a really tough relationship because they used to get along. Let me back up. I had Batman as a cat, and we wanted to get a second cat during the pandemic, and we're living in the apartment, whatever. And we get a second cat, and obviously we got to name him Robin, because Batman and Robin, right?
Yeah.
The dynamic duo. And because Robin was a COVID cat, and because we lived in an apartment, it meant that he was a very sheltered cat and also got a lot of time from us. So, and he was also like a very energetic cat. And so when we moved to this townhome that we're in right now, like, we're on the ground floor, we're not 3 stories up. And so sometimes we would get stray cats come through our yard, and he did not like that. It was KILL. It was like, go after this cat, but he's inside. He can't get the cat. He's got to take his aggression out on something else.
Oh no!
And so he started taking his aggression out on Batman, and so that was like we had to separate them, and we tried doing it for like a whole year because I didn't want to give up on him because he was my buddy. He was my COVID kitty. And so we had to give him away. And that it kind of, it's kind of like a, it's a cat, so you don't want to put too much of yourself on them, but at the same time, like, pets are like your best friend, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And so when I gave him up, it was like, it wasn't like he died or anything. It's like I had to choose to get rid of him, and luckily the situation really worked out, I think, really well, because the person that we gave him up to lives in an apartment, and he's home all the time because he's retired, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he just lost his own black cat, which was what Robin is, was a black cat. And he had just lost his own cat of 20 years. He was 20 years old. So I know this. So I know this guy has experience with having a cat live a long time. So I think it worked out really well. But as far as give it time is like, if you lose somebody, it in the moment, it's like that sucks. It really does. And I think it's important to know that when you're in those times, it's okay that it sucks. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Where am I going with that?
I think I get what you mean about how, like, in the moment when something happens and you lose someone or something, when people try and come right in after it just happened, right? Right after it happened, and start giving you advice saying you're gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. It's like just let me be sad. I just need to be sad. Like, I had a period a few months ago where something happened and I just needed to be sad. I said, like, I don't want advice right now because I just need to go through my feelings. And I was maybe in bed for like 5 days. Like, it was not healthy, but like, I needed that. I couldn't just power through because I needed to be in bed, cry, be sad.
It needed to suck.
It needed to suck. And then after that, those 5 days, I was able to slowly kind of get myself back together. Now, this is where it's tough. I mean, like, luckily I was able to take those 5 days. I did miss out on some important things that I didn't want to. Life is tough, man. Sometimes it's hard to take time. Like, sometimes like you need to take time for yourself, but then it's like
life gets in the way.
Like, if you don't, like take your time, but if you don't come to your job from 9 to 5, you're fired. And it's like, I just need a day.
Yeah.
But like, this is like my future. It's tough.
Yeah. 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 I think what you just were getting at, with, you with the whole, it just needing to suck thing. What that is, if you are strongly feeling an emotion like sadness or anger, a lot of times, especially those two, a lot of times we're told to not be those things. You can't be sad. You just don't cry, that kind of thing, and when you're especially angry, because it can be a kind of a scary emotion, a lot of times we try to repress those things, and you if you're feeling those feelings, you have to sit with them. And so when we got rid of Robin, I put that to the test, like, and I sat on the couch for 2 hours crying.
Mm.
And I sat with my wife right now. We're not doing it right now, but during the time we just sat together and cried for 2 hours. And then after that, I stopped crying and was able to kind of, like, I had to just let it be what it was.
Yeah.
And when it comes to something like anger, it's a tougher one, I feel like. Especially for people who don't want to be an angry person. You're going to feel anger, you're going to feel sadness, you're going to feel happiness. And when you are feeling those things, let them be what they are. But especially for something like anger, you know, you have to know how to let it out. And letting out your anger on other people is, well, not okay, you know?
No.
And so you have to feel the anger, but you also have to know how to let it out. But you have to have an outlet for it. And for some people, I mean, for me, when I was younger, that was video games. And so I was that kid playing Call of Duty, yelling at the screen.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But
Or playing a sport. Yeah, you just gotta.
Well, kind of. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but be careful. Be careful with that. Like, you don't want to like punch someone in the face because you're angry.
Well, no,
while you're
of
playing a
course not.
sport,
But
you know?
but something like football, say football for an example, you're tackling people, and that's
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah, just don't like try to like.
No, don't intentionally go to hurt somebody, but know that this is an active thing that's allowing you technically to get your aggression out.
Yeah, for sure. Boxing's a great one.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, even if it's just an inanimate punching bag, I mean, yeah, and also a great workout.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to add to the give it time. It's also not just about giving it time, but it's also about moving forward and not opening up old wounds, because just because you give something time, if you're constantly looking back, like if you have an ex, right?
Like, if only I did this, or if only I did that kind of thing, right?
If only I did that, or if only I did this, or like if you have like an ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend, if you are constantly looking at pictures of them, if you're constantly looking at the gifts they gave you, if you're constantly going to your favorite spots with them, it doesn't matter how much time passes. Like you're stuck in those memories. And there's certain things that like that you do that may remind you of that person, but you have to take those steps. Don't look at their photos. Don't consciously go to your favorite spots with them. And if you start to, disconnect from a negative time or like negative memories, or if you disconnect from a person that maybe you're no longer associated with, then you can kind of pave that path forward, because new opportunities will come up. But if you're at home just on your phone, like looking at pictures, like you don't know what's out there. Your eyes are shut. So giving it time, but also like freeing yourself up there, because sometimes when you let go of something, it frees you. It's also tough, because there's letting go because you have no choice. And then there's you choosing to let go. But sometimes you choosing to let go of something can be just as hard as if it were taken from you.
Yes,
because sometimes
absolutely.
you got to let the thing go. Like that's what happened with your cat. Like could you have kept Robin? Yes, you could have. But like, would it have been a healthy lifestyle? Would things have worked out? Like, you tried, and it got to the point where it didn't feel like a choice at that point. And if Robin was taken away from you versus you giving up Robin, I'm sure it would have been equally as tough. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's something I wanted to touch on, something you said earlier.
Stalking ex's photos.
Kind of, yeah. It had to do something with that. I think what you were saying is living in the past, right? Yeah. And I think why we do that is because when we were with that person, we were happy. We were like, that's when we felt comfortable, last felt good.
Yeah.
And I think like you have to let those things go.
Yeah.
Because it could be a it could be a right person, wrong time situation. And maybe in the future, something, it could be one of these kind of waves where like you're together and then you're not, and then you're back together, but, or it could be one of these where it was like, and then you're never going to line up with each other again.
Yeah.
And you don't know where the future holds. I'm not saying sit and wait for that line to come back, because that's not how it works. But I think it's okay to look back on fond memories and know that those are memories, is what those are. Like that isn't the present.
Yeah. And you make new ones along the way, and embracing what you had. Mm-hmm. And this is what I had, this is what I learned from it, and using that to move forward and to create new memories. And so anything else on that, or should we go on to the next one?
Let's move on to the next one.
Okay, what is this one?
Don't compare. The only person you should try to beat is the person you were yesterday.
Yeah,
that's a great sentence.
I do want to talk about this one with you, but let's focus on don't compare specifically. But when we were talking about be yourself, this does kind of tie in a bit, so we could talk about that after, because some of these do overlap. But yeah, let's talk about don't compare. So should we compare, Max? Should we compare to others?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
but also kind of depends.
It
depends. I'll bring that back. I'm gonna say no. Yeah. Don't compare yourself to others. You should only compare yourself to yourself. I think it's good to look at outside, like look at others and say, that's kind of the way this person does this. That's where I want to be. And it's good to have those as what do you call it? A reference.
Yeah.
Like here's how I see somebody doing it successfully. That's what I want to do. And you can use that as you can study and like practice how somebody else is doing it because you see them doing it successfully. But the part where it becomes bad is like, oh, I see that person, I see what they're doing, that's where I want to be, that's not me. That sucks. and that hurts. And it's good to compare to others in the sense of like growth. If you're thinking this is where you want to be, then use them as an example. But I don't know. Does that make sense at all? Tell me word that if you understand what I'm getting at.
I completely understand. It's with everything I think that we're talking about. There's like the two sides to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's absolutely impossible to not compare. Like you could say, I am never going to compare myself to anybody. It's subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
When we see somebody, right? If I'm a really passionate singer, like I love to sing, or actually, let me use a different example. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
I go to film school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the semester, we showcase our films.
Mm-hmm.
We're all doing the same thing. We're all given an assignment, make a 5-minute film.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and we showcase our films. Now, even though the showcase is not to compare, like that's not the goal of it. It's not the point of it. But if my acting in my film was really bad, which my acting was great, shout out to my actors. But if my acting was bad and then I see another film where the acting was great, like subconsciously I'm like, look at them, like their acting was great, and then my like
what did I do wrong?
What did I do wrong? Like you're comparing, and that's just a little example. There's so much. Another big one is not everybody, and I give so much props to the people who don't do this. I do, unfortunately, because of insecurities and whatnot. But going to the gym, dude, like if I am at the gym and I see someone my age doing the same workout as me, and meanwhile they're ripped, I'm like, what the hell, man?
And why am I not there?
I wish I was them.
Yeah. I think that comes back to what was one from earlier where we were talking about
be yourself,
knowing that other people are going through their own completely different life experience.
For sure.
And when you're comparing yourself to this other person who's ripped in the gym,
yeah,
you don't know the past 5 years of them putting in 4 days a week, 2-hour workouts. They've been putting in the work, and now the results are showing. Yeah. But we only see them as how they are now, and we didn't see all the effort and stuff that they put into it.
Yeah, like that could be all they're doing in life is working out. Meanwhile, like I, enjoy writing music, filmmaking, playing basketball. I'm going to school. So it's like I'm doing so much other stuff where my main priority in life is not working out. But yeah, if you can I don't know how many, like, was there ever a period of time where in your life where you remember you just would encounter someone and you just compared yourself to them?
Yeah. Every day, right?
Every day, yeah.
This isn't something that kind of, it probably goes away. I'm still young. I'm still comparing. And maybe, again, this is just something that happens with time. As you get older, I think you just stop caring and therefore stop comparing. I think sometimes I keep losing it, man. Where am I going with it?
Letting go. The first rule.
Letting go. Where it goes. I just watch it. Come back. Come on, chair, move.
We're talking about don't compare and how you feel like you've been comparing lately?
Here's me comparing. I feel like this whole conversation, I feel like you've had things to say super easily. I feel like you've been very good at that. I feel like I have a thought and I start going with it and then I'm like, lost it. You know? That's me comparing.
By the way,
but that's just who I am.
I
forget this.
I 100% like really appreciate your authenticity right there. I really appreciate you for saying that, for being open and being honest about that. That means a lot. And I just want to tell you that I am not sitting here thinking like, geez, Max isn't adding anything to this conversation. Like
but that's all in my own head.
It's in your head, because I'm actually really enjoying the conversation. And
by the way.
Yeah, and when you're worrying about not coming up with a thought, I'm like, I'm fine, and I'm like, you know, you're articulating your thoughts. Yeah. If you're needing a moment to pause, I'll step in and say something. But I feel like you've been really, really constructive to the conversation, and I feel like you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. That's actually great to hear.
Of course. of course.
Yeah. That's again like honesty, right? We've only known each other, I mean, now for like a month, I guess, but we've only really talked maybe not even up to 24 hours, you know?
I know, yeah. But I will compare our screens. You might want to move a little bit more.
Oh, my off center.
There you go. Sorry, I didn't mean to compare that, but
oh, you can fix it in post, right?
Yeah, you're just like oh, there you go. You're good now. Okay.
Now I'm in the center.
Keep going.
I forgot what I was saying.
Oh God, sorry.
Let it go.
Let it go. Be yourself. Give it time.
Shoot. What were we just talking about?
We were talking about how I was saying that you you felt a little you were comparing a bit in this conversation about how you weren't contributing.
I was. At least it felt like it, but not necessarily fully. I think what that was is it was more of a subtle one. Yeah. But I think because I've put in a lot of work to kind of be more in touch with what's happening in the moment, that I feel like I can pick up on even like some of the smaller ones like that. Yeah. So I wasn't gonna, like, after this call, I wasn't gonna get off the call and be like, dang it, I didn't do good, like, you know. Yeah. But it was one of those subtle ones that I was just like, oh, that's kind of there, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's super interesting, because, you know, you and I we're now good friends, and even with friends, you know, you sometimes compare, because especially when this is a tough one. When you have a friend or a partner or whoever, someone close to you, who's experiencing success and you're not, on one hand, you're happy for them. And that's true. Like, I'm sure you can be happy, but then on the other hand, you might also feel a little like, why can't I do this? And it's like their success is maybe bringing out that thing in you, and that's where the not comparing, it just comes out, and that could be a tough one, because you're not doing anything wrong. Like like when we compare ourselves to others, like if someone is experiencing something good, I feel like this is important. If someone's experiencing something good, and then we look at ourselves and we're like, oh man, I wish like I could go through that. Like, you're not like doing anything wrong to the other person. Like, you know, now if someone was experiencing something good and you were projecting your insecurities onto them and saying like, oh no, that's not good, or you suck, because you're comparing, and you know, that wouldn't be good. But yeah, now
it's contagious.
Now
Oh no. Well, okay.
Grab the
I
thoughts.
think
grab the thoughts.
here, let me grab that thought and
Okay,
I'll
okay.
I'll
Yeah,
kind of
throw it back to you.
I'll
Okay,
kind of
take it, take
I'll
it,
kind
take
of
it.
kind of run with that for a sec.
Yeah.
I the when we say don't compare,
Mhm.
and then we say it depends. What that means is something.
Just throw it back.
Take it.
No, I don't know. I'm throwing it back to you. You got it. You got it.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Like what it depends is like it's what it is that you just have to kind of recognize what's happening,
Yeah.
and kind of sit with it and be like, okay, I just compared myself to Drew earlier, and to me, and it wasn't a bigger one, so I'm not dwelling on. I'm just using an example.
For sure. For sure.
But I compared myself to Drew, thinking, man, he's doing really good right now at articulating his thoughts and not repeating himself, and I'm like, dang it, well, how come I can't do that? But because I've then said that out loud to myself and also to you now, let's start with myself. I said that to myself, and I recognized that I was comparing, and then because I was able to recognize it, I was able to see that that is what's happening right now. I'm literally just comparing. It's maybe not even true, you know? And then because I was able to say that out loud, because I feel like, even though that's where I was getting at earlier, actually, was I caught it. Yeah.
Yes.
Because I don't think we've even like hung out for 24 hours total yet.
No.
You know?
No.
But we've known each other for a month. Known of each other for a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but because of the conversations that we've had, and because of things that I've opened up about, and because of things that you've opened up about, there's like a trust. Like, oh, I can see you. Yeah. I understand you. Like I understand how you work, because it's kind of similar to how I work, and I think that's where a compare is good, right there. Yeah. Right. When you see yourself in other people and you can have empathy and relate in that kind of a comparison, now I feel like I was able to bring up the fact that I was comparing us just then. And then, because I was being honest about that, you were able to reassure me that I'm doing good, you know? Like, yeah.
For sure. And I love what you brought up about sometimes it's all right to compare when someone else is like doing, like, if you see someone doing a nice deed, you know, like, look at that and say, like, can I do something like that too?
Yeah.
Can I be a better person? That's a good way of like, you know, kind of checking yourself. And another thing that you said that I really wanted to bring up that I thought was super important, for all of these rules, before you let it go, be yourself, give it time, not compare. Before all of this, you can't just do it. You have to recognize. You have to, you can't just act. You got to stop. And as you said, what am I comparing? Who am I comparing to? Why am I comparing? Because sometimes you compare yourself to someone and then you're like, wait a second, why am I comparing myself to this person? They're an asshole. I don't want to be like them, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
Because honestly, you know, a lot of people, we compare social media accounts, we compare looks, we compare, you know, like who this person's friends with and who this person's dating. We compare all this artificial stuff, but like, does that really matter at the end? Like, it's better to be a good person than to just, you know, you could be the best looking guy or girl out there, but you're not a nice person. You shouldn't try to be like them.
Mhm.
Shouldn't look up to that person or try to be like them. You should
Exactly.
you should if you're gonna, I think this is what we're getting at. If you're gonna compare, compare yourself with good people that like you thrive to be like.
Mhm.
Not that you thrive to be, because you don't want to like, I want to be this person. No, you want to be,
Mhm.
you want to get certain traits, because
Mhm.
there's not one person in my life. There have been people like celebrities that like I really looked up to, but then I'm like, wait a second, I don't like that they did that, and I was able to kind of distinguish. I don't like that they did that, but I
Mhm.
do look up to this, and that's fine. You don't have to look up to everything someone does, or you don't have to look up, or yeah, you can look up to certain traits, because at the end of the
Mhm.
day, we're unique. We got to be ourselves, and if you're just trying to emulate one person's whole persona, you're not you. So if you're gonna compare,
Exactly.
like if you see someone being kind, boom, I wanna get myself like that. If you see someone who's a strong dude, it's like, good for you, man. You know what? I'm gonna work to be kind of stronger too. Not like you, just I'm
Mhm.
gonna be stronger for myself.
Right. Right. Touch on the like celebrity thing and like the like social media thing. Because I think that's really important nowadays, because it's just growing up, like Facebook was like the social media platform for
Mhm.
at the time, and like Instagram was kind of a thing for me in school and whatnot. So it's like that's like a completely different world where it's not literally a part of every person's life. Like um when it comes to like celebrities and um what you kind of said there was, you're like, okay, I like this trait of this person, but I don't like that they did this. And that's because they're human. They're a human being, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's where it comes to reminding yourself that they're going through their own experiences, and maybe there's a clip of a celebrity that like was really angry with a reporter, and it's like, oh, maybe they were just having a day, and they were just, you know, kind of done with it.
Yeah.
And that was just caught on camera. And because we
Yeah,
have those, that, you know, it's just maybe not caught on camera.
for sure.
As far as comparing with like social media platforms and whatnot, let's take Instagram for example.
Mm.
If I'm gonna go post something on Instagram, I'm not posting my ugly selfies. I'm not posting my unfinished artwork.
Yeah.
I'm only posting the polished, like, like I really pixel peeped and make sure that like my background's nice and blurry, and
Yeah.
I got an edge light going so you can see the back of my head. I gotta make sure I have all that first before we post it. And that's just me. And I think everybody kind of goes through social media similarly, where they're not going to post their flaws. They're only going to post stuff that they're most proud of, or stuff that makes them look the best or whatever. So that's what you're seeing. You're only seeing people's best.
What they
You're not,
want you to see.
yeah, you're not seeing the 800 takes that it took to get that one shot. You
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. That's why, like, you, myself, and mostly everyone else out there, we turn on the camera when we want. We post what we want. That's why celebrities, they're being followed around. You get these
Mm.
moments, but yeah, when you see like on Instagram, like friends, maybe you weren't invited to something, and then you see this group hanging out. Why wasn't I there? Like, they don't like me. You start to compare, you make assumptions,
Mm.
and like, oh, this person has a really great body, I don't. This person's really happy here, I'm not. This person, another big thing is like, oh, I feel like this is a huge one.
Mm.
This person has it figured out.
Mm.
They're in a relationship. They have
Mm-hmm.
a great job. Like, how many times do we see that on social media where picture with the wife or the baby or the in the suit, doctor, lawyer, whatever, like everything just seems so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at that and you're like, I'm not doing anything with my life, and this person has it all figured out. You see a picture, you see what they're posting, but because it's there, you assume, you compare, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me touch on that a little bit.
Yeah,
I think what you're saying is absolutely the saying of they have it all figured out. That sentence
ooh,
has
ooh.
like plagued my 20s. Um, I do a lot of comparing to other people who seem to have it figured out. But one thing I've been learning the more that I've gone into adulthood is not a single person has it figured out.
No.
And honestly, it's kind of annoying and frustrating because as a kid, you see all these people on the news and they're like talking about serious situations and whatever. And it's like, wow, the adults of the world, they got it handled. They're like, we're safe, you know, like we got it all figured out because all these adults got it all figured out. I can't wait till I'm an adult and I got it all figured out.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting till I'm an adult and I can have it all figured out.
But you're not gonna have it all figured out.
But you're not, because no single person's got it figured out.
No one.
And anybody who looks like they have it all figured out either has some things figured out. At least what they're displaying is the stuff that they have figured out. But in their personal life, there's a whole lot of stuff that maybe you have figured out that they don't have figured out.
Yeah.
Because there's so many aspects of life, like relationships, careers, and personal health, and that it's an endless things to compare about. And what's interesting is like you could be say you're comparing yourself. Let's use a very generic example of the gym body thing. You could be comparing yourself because you're seeing somebody whose physique is kind of what you want for yourself, and you're comparing. It's like, oh, I wish I had that. But maybe on the other side of that is them looking at photos of you and your relationship, and you're like, damn, he's got his relationship figured out. I wish I had that.
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes you look at someone who looks physically good and you're like, they probably attract all of these people. They're probably very charismatic. They're probably very confident. And sometimes it's the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So you just...
Yeah. One of my favorite things is I would call myself a mild metalhead. As far as like metal music and stuff like that. I'm not like super into it, but how I use music is I use it very specifically, depending on like what mood I want to be in. So if I'm playing Call of Duty, right, I'm going to be putting on Eminem. I'm going to be putting on some metal music, some AC/DC and whatnot.
Nice.
But if I'm having a conversation with Drew on here, I may be playing a playlist called Dreamy Warm Drone Ambient,
like some like John Williams.
Yeah, well, there you go. One of my favorite things to do, side tangent, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Just a disclaimer. No mindfulness.
Disclaimer, this is maybe there's something to it. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a deeper meaning.
If it's like snowing or raining and I'm driving and it's like it's a bit of an adventure, right? Because it's like, holy cow, this is kind of dangerous. Sometimes I play some Star Wars music, some John Williams, and I'm like, no, I'm in my X-Wing, and I'm like, Anyway, it has nothing to do with
Red Squadron. No, but it makes you happy.
Right, yeah. I enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, these are things that make us happy. Yeah, that's great.
If you're gonna compare to anybody, compare to that and be like, "Dang, I wish I
Yeah, yeah,
I should do that."
exactly. No, 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 no. Now that you're saying that, it's like, oh shoot, next time it's snowing, I'm gonna go drive, and I'm gonna
Do
like,
it.
or
It's
like,
great.
yeah, or I'm like driving down the highway, got dual the face. Dun, 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 dun,
Exactly. It's fantastic.
dun. Oh man. Oh, okay. You want to go to the next one?
Yeah, I think there was something else I was gonna say about the
Oh.
last one, but I don't remember what it was because I started talking about driving down the snow with
I know
John Williams.
that. Snow, John Williams. Oh,
Dang it, John Williams.
dang it, John. You made us lose our thought. Okay. Why don't you introduce our next rule of life? This is the 5th rule of life.
Oh, we're on 5.
We're
We
on
still have,
5.
yeah. All right, let's
Two
see.
more.
We still got something to go through. Let's see. Stop talking too much. No, stop talking too much. You're talking way
Shut
too
up.
much. Shut up. Stop thinking too much. It's okay to not have everything figured out. Know that in time you'll get there. There goes back to the time thing. We keep coming back to that one. I think this is, to me, this feels like a short and easy one. It's tough when if you say you're overthinking something. Like if I were to say to somebody, I think you're overthinking it. I don't mean stop thinking about it altogether. What I'm saying is, like, I think you're literally thinking about it too much.
Yeah.
In the sense of if you're okay, say for example, my wife is getting a new job or just got a new job. But thank you. I'm excited about it too. And she's really excited about it.
It's awesome.
It's pretty great. But going into it, say you're getting a new job and you're kind of thinking about all the different things that's going to happen during the day at this job. And wow, what if my coworkers don't like me? What if my performance is awful? What if I get fired day one? Like, I don't know, whatever it is you're thinking. I'm just using as an example. There's sometimes where you literally think about every scenario and like then you try to come up with solutions to those scenarios, and those haven't even happened. I would consider that thinking too much. I would say that it's good to prepare. It's good to it's good to prepare. But if you are preparing, let's say there's 100% of preparation you can have for a job. You can think of 90% of it in 5 minutes, but then you sit there trying to think of the other 10% for the next 2 hours. Dude, you've already got an A. You've already thought of 90% of it. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta do. You just gotta do and not think too much. There's a balance to it, just like with everything.
Depends, right?
It depends. I am probably guilty of this a little too much. Thinking too much. I'm a little guilty of thinking too much. I'm probably guilty of thinking too much about thinking too much.
That's usually common with people who think too much.
Usually. That was good. You know, and I think with a lot of these things, it just fear. It's important to also, notice, recognize why we're thinking too much. Why are we thinking too much about one thing versus another thing? And I think sometimes thinking about too much is a positive thing. Like, I don't think necessarily it's a negative thing where if you're thinking about something so much it's negative in the sense of you shouldn't. Like, I think if someone's really thinking about something and like kind of stressed and worried about something,
Mm-hmm.
it means that they care.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you and I were doing this discussion and I kept texting you like, Max, I'm like really like nervous, like should I say this? Should I do that? Should I this, that? You know, on one hand, am I freaking out? Am I being a little too whatever? Maybe, but it all comes out of a place of like I
You
care
want
about
it to go
this.
good. Yeah.
I care about this discussion and I want it to be
Mm-hmm.
good. You know, just recently I have an example. And you know about this, speaking at the convention in
Mm-hmm.
Las Vegas, which I did.
That was a big deal, dude.
It's a big deal. It was my first time, and I thought a lot because there were certain questions that I was like, oh no, like I don't know if like I can answer this. Like I'm not sure how to answer this. And I remember asking the moderator like a bunch of stuff, and like maybe I was a little too much, but like it wasn't from a place of like malice. It was like I
Mm-hmm.
cared. I want to do good.
Yeah.
I want to look good for everybody. I want to make you look good. I don't want to screw up.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, what I did was I prepared note cards, which I didn't use. I didn't use you know that, but I prepared note cards because writing it down helped
Mm-hmm.
me. Now look, if there's an event in a week and I'm spending every single second of my life just thinking about this event and I can't enjoy what's here and now because I'm thinking too much, that's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it is important like when talking about like stop thinking too much. Yeah, that doesn't mean don't think at all, don't
No.
prepare. Cuz
Yeah. Preparing, like I think the part that we're trying to get at here is the two part. Like you can think much, just
yeah.
don't think too much.
Yeah. And you know when too much is too
Yeah, and
much. If
everybody's got a different level, right? It's the
everybody's
balance
got a
that you're
different
just talking
level.
about.
Some people, if they think about things for more than 5 minutes, it can drive them crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, when working, like personally, I try to for me it's hard to work on something for like many hours at a time. I like to split it up, like, you know, work on it, take a little break, work on it. Some people need to just go right through.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot where I was going with that.
I'll take it. Yeah, it's just like you know you best,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of this comes with try to be your own mental scientist. And what I mean by that is like if you don't know something about yourself, if you don't know, take for an example, I didn't know that I had ADD. So it took being on TikTok to see other people talking about ADHD and for me to look into, wow, this is kind of lining up with a lot of problems that I had in high school and why I couldn't complete my homework. And it's well, I am not, I mean, I will disclaimer, I'm only self-diagnosed, but I've read a couple books now about it. So I'm going to say I'm a self-diagnosed ADD, and specifically ADD and not ADHD, because there's like, I don't remember exactly the specifics, but there's like two sides of it, and ADHD has both. And so there's the mental, like distractions, the ADHD stuff. And then there's the H part, the hyperactive part, the part where you can't sit still. I just have the mental side. I like can sit still and things. And now, oh, where I was going with that is I saw somebody, I compared myself to somebody else, and I'm like, okay, that sounds something similar to me. And so then I started researching and I started looking into it, and then I started reading about ADD, and I'm like, wow, okay, here's all these things that line up with a lot of my own personal problems. Okay, where do I go from here? What do I do about that? And then so I read a little bit more, and like, you know, now that you've diagnosed it, you know, self-diagnosed. Now that I've diagnosed it, I can now use that as a way to learn about myself and think of ways to combat it a little bit. And so for me, one of my things is I realize that I hyperfixate on things, and I have like a month of where I'm like really into this one thing, and it's my whole world. And then that month, like, or that 2 weeks goes away, and then all of that like passion for it is gone, and then it feels like, then I look back on that that past month, and I'm like, man, I'm really not into that anymore. What was I doing? But like, that's now comparing to my past self. Lost it again.
No, I see what you're saying. I think making time for yourself to think about something is important too. Because if you're just allowing yourself to overthink every single second, like if you're having dinner with your family and you're thinking about work, or you're thinking about this and you're thinking too much, you can't enjoy what you're doing now. So making that time where, okay, I'm going to work 5 hours a day or 6 hours, whatever. And in that time, I'm going to put my attention energy into work. That's what I'm going to think about. And I'm going to think hard. I'm going to do what I got to do. And then outside of that, taking that time for yourself. And if a work thought comes up, like kind of like being like, whoa, you did that, you'll do it tomorrow. And if you have to do something, maybe you do it, but you
maybe write it down so you can remind yourself for tomorrow.
Exactly.
And then let it go. And then
let it go.
Be in the moment of where you're at now. That's been a big one for me, is when I'm at work, I'm thinking about all my personal stuff and all my art projects I want to do. And sometimes sorry, Ryan, I do it at work. Maybe cut that part out. But, sometimes, yeah, like I'll be like, okay, well, it'll take 2 seconds to just chat GPT something for my personal thing, and then while that's going, I'll go back to my work.
Yeah.
But what happens is, now I've done some personal things with my work things, and now I go back to my work thing, and now I have to like try to like get myself back in that mindset. And it's tough.
It's very difficult, yeah.
And then what I think is tough for me is when I do those things, then when I am done with work for the day, it's 5 o'clock, I'm home. Now I feel bad, like I didn't get enough done at work, that I'm now I can't relax. Now I feel like I have to do something.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not working. So it's not, now I can't. Yeah.
That it's so funny that you say that, because it's similar. We're in the sense of like, when I'm out and about and I'm supposed to be enjoying myself, I'm in the mood to like create a video and work and really do something. And then I get home and it's there. I'm like, I need a snack. Like, I can't do it. Or I'm going to get some, like, or I want to get out. I want to get out of the house and like play some basketball or work out. Like, it's hard to like be in the moment and like think about what you want to do. And that's all about, it's also a time thing. And it's also taking little steps. I think another important thing, we have stopped thinking too much, but sometimes just stop thinking. Meditation, relaxation, watching TV, just like, don't think, just enjoy.
Yeah, I think the relaxing part, I think some people have an issue with relaxing, and it's good to learn yourself. And that's where I was getting about being your own mental scientist, right? Is like, experiment with different things and see what works for you, and
Yeah.
also learn about yourself and maybe where some of that stuff comes from. If you grew up in a household where you like you constantly had to be like doing something, or like you had to make sure you got all your chores done before you could relax or something, and that was like your pressure as a child to do those things. Then as an adult, it feels like when you get home from work after you just worked all day and you're tired, your body's telling you relax, just watch something, watch a movie, play some video games, or read, or just relax your body and your mind a little bit. And your body's telling you to do that, but your mind is telling you, oh, you didn't do anything today, there's still dishes to do, you got to do all that stuff right now. And maybe that's kind of how you grew up. And what you need to do is recognize that that's kind of where that's coming from, so that when you're in that moment and your body's telling you to rest, you can tell your brain to shut up, and then you can relax.
Yeah. And that's also another thing that I think I sometimes have a problem with, that I'm working on, and I know a lot of other people. Sometimes you feel like if you're not doing a certain thing, like you're not being productive, and you were not productive the whole day. Sometimes if I have an idea of what I want to do, like I want to make this video and do this, and then at the end of the day, if I don't do it, I'm like, you were not productive today. You didn't get what you needed done. But I did laundry, I went to the gym, I saw my grandparents, like doing these nice things. You didn't do nothing. But then you know what? Add in there, I watched some TV. I read a book. Like watching TV. Like, look, if you're sitting in front of a TV 24/7, that's not great. But I think it's so important to like take time for yourself. Like, yeah, I watched a show. It made me feel good. I enjoyed it. It was a relaxation. It was watching TV can be productive, if it's sometimes it can make you more productive. If you're just work. I saw this thing that was it's better to work for 2 hours and then, or like better to like meditate or take a break and then work 2 hours than to just work 4 hours straight. Because
and again, that I think that also depends on who you are. If
for sure.
You're somebody who really strives off of that 9 to 5 kind of balance, where you're like going the whole time, and then it's like, because I'll use the example of Vegas. That trip for me was a work trip. We started at like 8 a.m. and we were hooking up computers and cameras and wires and things, and oh my gosh, I literally had dreams about cables. After that trip. Literally had dreams about cables.
Oh my god! I can imagine there were a lot of cables.
A lot of cables. It was a nightmare. But yeah, that trip for me was a work trip, and there's a recording error.
What?
My side, it says recording error.
Oh,
Open the recording tab.
I'm still good. Oh,
okay. Interesting. Anyway, that trip for me was a work trip. I was there to work, and we started at 8, and sometimes we didn't get done until like 11:30 at night. And I think in the past, I would have looked at that as like I was working too much, and because in my head, I'm told you're supposed to work 8 hours and then you clock out and you're done. And yeah, I think work-life balance is really important as well. But I tried to look at that trip as less of a work trip and more of like this adventure I'm going to go on. Is kind of how I looked at it. And so even after I'm like physically in that moment, and I'm like, I'm really exhausted. But then when I laid down in that hotel room, I was like, at the end of the day, I'm like, dang, I worked hard and I feel accomplished and I feel good about that.
No.
And I can't wait to get up and do it again. You know?
That's awesome. You reframed your thoughts because I always say like two people can be doing the same thing, right? Like let's say I mean you and I both went to that convention for different purposes, but let's say I was with my own studio upgrade version like similar to what you do. We were in the same situation physically, right? You could have gone into that situation saying like, okay, this is going to be a lot of work. This is going to be a lot of hours, but I am going to make an adventure out of it. And I'm not going to view it as work. Meanwhile, I could go in like, oh my God, there's going to be so
13 hours left. What do
13 hours, all this work. I just want to go home. I don't want to be here. And we're doing the same thing physically, but we could have two completely different experiences because of mindset. So that's why I think it's really great that you chose to change your mindset, because that can be big. Just a simple change in this is going to be a lot of, like, you can view it, this is going to be a lot of work and it's going to suck, or this is going to be a lot of
it will.
work.
If you're going into that and you're thinking that, then it's going to be that.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah,
there's like a there's this, what's it called, like manifesting, I guess. And you know, you can't say, oh, I'm going to manifest $1 million on my table right now and I'm going to see it and I'm going to have $1 million right there. That's not how that works. What it is just like putting yourself in a mental state like, okay, I'm going to go into this thing, it's going to be a lot of work and it's going to be an adventure. It's gonna probably be painful, and exhausting, but it's gonna be an adventure. And just that, like, the word change and going into it completely changed my mindset through the whole thing. Like, if you're driving into a parking lot and you're like, oh, there's gonna be no spots, there's not gonna be a spot for me, then there's probably not gonna be a spot for you. But if you go into it thinking, oh, maybe I'll find a spot. Or maybe I'll find a spot like towards the front, you know? Then maybe it'll happen. And if it doesn't happen, then it didn't happen, you know?
Yeah. Well, I like how you acknowledge, because I also think it's important to not just say, I'm going to go into this, it's going to be the best experience, it's going to be super great. There's going to like I'm going to manifest great things and that's all that's going to happen. Like, you know, it is okay to be aware that, you know, like look, you knew, like, you're not oblivious. You knew you're going to be there for a lot of hours. Like, you knew it was going to be a lot of work, and at times it would be stressful. Like, if you didn't have that thought, then that might have caught you off guard and maybe took away that excitement. But you were aware. Like that's why like I have this view. If you're like joining a club or something, or maybe going to an event, and you say like, it's kind of similar. I don't know. You can take what you want from it. If you go to this event or if you go to a club, and this is what I've been like really thinking recently. If you go with the intent of like, I'm going to go here and make new friends and like meet new people and like that's it. Like that's your sole purpose. Like if that doesn't happen, you may be setting yourself up for disappointment. But like, rather than like, you know, I'm going to go to this event and enjoy the event and what's there and open myself up and talk to people, then like, you know, you can make great friends, but say like you don't, like you're still getting something out of it. You're still enjoying, rather than just putting all of your energy onto one thing and then it not happening. Like you're kind of making hopeful but realistic expectations. I know that was kind of a little separate, but like
I'm following the train, man. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I think what I will say too is like to be able to put yourself in a mindset like that just by your own choice is not it. Sometimes it's not something that just happens. Like for the past since 2020, I've been really putting a lot of effort into my personal mental growth, and at sometimes I maybe I thought about things too much, but at the same time, I also don't know if I would say that. Well, no, that's not true. I did think about things too much at sometimes, but I don't regret it, kind of, because me thinking about things too much made me realize that I was thinking about things too much, and so to think about things enough and have a purpose for your thoughts.
You want to move on? You want to move?
Okay. Where am I going with that? Where I'm going with that is I'm manifesting now.
Yeah.
It's not happening. What I'm saying is I've put in a lot of work on my mental self, that I've realized that I need to, okay, I'm gonna go on for the side tangent real quick.
All good.
But it's gonna connect, and hopefully I'm gonna remember how it's gonna connect. We'll see. As a kid, let's use Christmas as an example. Say you're growing up and you're somebody who celebrates Christmas or the holidays, for example. I'm going to use Christmas as an example because that's what I grew up with. As a kid, Santa Claus is real, and is real. Santa
kids, he's real. He's real.
He's real.
That was a close one. We'll talk after about that. That was unacceptable.
Shoot, I knew I shouldn't have said that. No. Well, now I don't know if I should talk about it.
Oh, no, just talk.
Okay, I'll just talk about it.
Kids turn away.
Kids turn away. Growing up, this is for my young adults now. Okay, if you're not a young adult, keep scrolling. Growing up, you're like, oh, Santa Claus is real, and it's super magical, and all of a sudden, just like presents show up under this tree. That's magic.
Oh,
it is. It feels like magic because I'm gonna say that it is magic. But it's not magic that's for free. Somebody made that happen. And in that specific case, most of the times it's the parents that are making that magic happen. So as an adult, Christmas starts to not feel so magical. And it starts to, Christmas time comes around, we start hating Christmas music because, okay, we've lost the nostalgia. Like we keep looking back on old photos of elementary school classrooms with all the decorations and whatnot. Somebody decorated that. Somebody put the effort in to make that magic happen. And my point of what I'm getting at is it takes effort to create that magic. And so as an adult, nobody's doing that for you. So things aren't just happening. So you have to do it for yourself. So we decorate the house now for ourselves. And it's a lot of work, but it doesn't just happen on its own. And it still doesn't quite feel like magic, but you kind of have to trick yourself. You really just kind of have to trick yourself into it being this magical thing, even though you saw yourself do it. It's kind of like going to a restaurant versus making your own food. For me, like whenever I make my own food and I know what went into it, sometimes I'm like, I think it tastes awful, even if it probably tastes good.
Yeah.
Just because I know what went into it, and now I'm tasting the paprika, and I'm tasting the tomato sauce or whatever. whatever I'm making. I don't know. I don't cook that often, so I don't really know if those things go together. But you're tasting all these ingredients instead of tasting the whole product. But if you go to a restaurant and you get served a plate of food, it's like, okay, this is chicken Alfredo. Okay. Here's chicken Alfredo. It was just handed to you. But to the cook, that's not chicken Alfredo. That's fettuccine noodles. That's Alfredo sauce and whatever.
No.
So to you, it's magic. To you, it's just chicken Alfredo. But to them, it's all these ingredients because they made it. So my point and what I'm getting at is you kind of have to, if I'm going to make chicken Alfredo for myself, I have to trick myself after I've put all the ingredients together and created chicken Alfredo. Then I sit down and I look at it and I go, that's chicken Alfredo. That's not fettuccine noodles. That's not Alfredo sauce and whatever.
No.
So what, now I'm going to circle back.
Okay.
And I'm going to keep hanging on to that one for myself.
Nice.
Quick.
Okay.
I got it.
There you go.
And you kind of have to trick yourself into some of these things. So for me, I tricked myself basically. At least that's kind of how I'm thinking it is. Maybe that's not it. And maybe I'll do some more thinking about it later and learn that it's really actually something else. But in my head right now, I tricked myself into thinking that trip was going to be an adventure. And now every time I thought about anything that happened on that trip, it's like I'm thinking about a road trip movie that's an adventure, right?
Yeah.
Or Frodo going on whatever adventure, right? Like for Frodo, he's probably anxiety out of his, and but to the outside looking in, that's an adventure. That looks fun. But
yeah.
So I think you just kind of have to trick yourself almost into having a different mindset. It's you create your own magic is kind of what I'm getting at.
And I love that you brought that up because I think the next rule literally ties to exactly what you said, right? What is this rule?
It's on you. It's you're in charge of your own happiness.
It's pretty much like kind of correlated, right?
It's not going to be done for you. You may have some people in your life that are that love you in the way that they will help you work on things. Like for example, if I'm getting upset about something, my wife Kay will be like, "Hey, like, are you really upset about that? Are you really upset about this?" And then that kind of helps you think about it in a different way.
Yeah.
And I feel really fortunate that I have somebody like that can help point those things out to me. But a lot of times it's your happiness is going to be on you, and you got to you have to put in the work. If you're feeling like you're not super happy right now, and you kind of just have to put in the work. Now, I know depression is a really tough place to be. I've been through depression myself. I still deal with it. And when you're in that state, everything feels like a lot. Does that make sense? Any little thing is going to feel like a big deal, and it's going to feel like it's going to be too much to take on. And so if you're in that kind of state and you're feeling like, say, I'm going to use another metaphor here. Say you're a kid and your goal someday, maybe this is just because I've just watched a movie on it. Say your goal someday is to be an Olympic athlete. But you're a kid right now, like that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of years. And say you've never played a sport in your life. You can't instantly go from that into being an Olympic athlete.
Yeah.
You got to take a first step. And sometimes that first step is like buying a soccer ball. And that can feel like a lot of work. And what I'm getting at is like when you're in depression and you're going like you're in the middle of it, things are going to feel like a lot, and you're going to look at outside things and compare, and you're going to want to, you're probably going to wish that you were here and not here. But to get to there, you have to put in some of the work. And the best way to do that is to start with very little things and then kind of praise yourself for completing those little things. If you're having some days where you're kind of like, if you're just bedridden, maybe your first step is just getting out of bed. Or maybe if it's not even that, maybe it's just sit up, you know? And then praise yourself for sitting up is kind of where I'm getting with that.
Yeah. I was actually, okay, bit of a bigger example. Cause I mean, look, sometimes for me, like, yeah, even just getting out of bed can be very difficult. So it's like, you know, when I do, and I'm going on a walk, I'm like, I'm praising myself. But when I was a month ago, Vegas, you know, I had a lot of anxiety going into that trip because I had gone on multiple trips out of state the year prior, 2 years prior, and suffered with a lot of anxiety and depression about just like a very big experience and like how I handled it, and then like coming back and feeling kind of down, just everything. Like the experiences were great, but then it's maybe the feelings after, it was like just too much for me. And going to Vegas, you know, it's tough because like, you know, you want to allow yourself to enjoy, but then you also have to kind of stay grounded and not just get so consumed so that like afterwards, if things like kind of, because it's kind of like coming off a high. It's like, you know, you're going to this convention, there's so much stuff going on, and then like you go back to your hotel room or on a plane, and that's it. Like you're done, chill, regular life. And that's where in the past, sometimes the depression would get me because I would do all these great experiences, and then I would kind of I would come off it feeling a little down because it would just like evened out. But I remember being prepared for that. Like because I had gone through it.
Because you've gone through it.
Because I went through it. I needed to. It sucked. Like did I feel good? No, but I needed to go through that because when I went to Vegas, I had a great time, met so many great people, including you. And I could have came away like, man, it sucks. Now it's over. But I actually came away feeling like I had a really great time, and I like feel good because like, you know, you and I still keep in touch. I, you know, made some great connections there, and I made some great memories, and I feel good about that. So I remember looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I'm proud of you. Cause like this is a big deal for you. And for everybody, it's different things can be a big deal. Like now that was a very big thing, you know, going to Vegas and whatever, like that's a big thing. But even just like, if it's your first time going to the gym, you know, like, good job, you did it. Like, oh, that's so powerful, man. Just praising yourself.
I think the gym right there was a great example, because I think there's a lot of times where mental strength is very similar to physical strength, in the sense of how it's accomplished. If I were to go to the gym right now, myself going to the gym, and I tried to pick up and try to do like a 300-pound deadlift, I'm not going to lift that up, and I may break my back doing it because, for one, I don't know how to do it. 2, it's way too much weight for me. 3, I don't know any of the techniques on how to do it properly. So I'm going to mess it up. But if my goal was to go in there and be like, because I saw somebody deadlift 300 pounds, I gotta work up to that. And maybe I just start with stretching.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I can't, you know, when you do this thing where you sit down and you like try to lean over and touch your toes.
Yeah, I'm bad at that. I'm no flexibility.
I can't, and I can't touch my toes. And so, but if you can't touch your toes, maybe start by just like reaching for your toes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next time you go to stretch, you'll find yourself stretching. You'll be like, oh, I can almost reach my toes. And the next time you're like, oh, I'm so close. I can almost reach my toes. And then the next time you like poke your toe and you're like, wow, look at that. And then recognize where you were, where you are now, recognize that there was a progress and that took time. And that also is very true for mental strength as well. Start with stretching your brain.
For sure. And, you know, I love how, you know, you brought up like how depression can hold you back from these things, which is very, very true. However, you know, as we talked about, sometimes you need to just be upset. You need to be sad. Yeah. Sometimes you don't have the strength to do these things, but then
that's okay.
That's all right. And then, take that time. Like for me, I had a period. It took 5 days. Sometimes it takes 2 days. Sometimes it takes a month. Like sometimes
it takes years, you know,
sometimes it takes years, but then when you're, taking those slow steps, like even when you are not feeling 100%, taking those steps, so you're going in a positive direction. You're like, there's a slight incline, you know, it could literally be like this, like it's slowly going up. You don't really see it,
but it may not. Yeah, you're still going up,
and it may not be like, you might say, here's the thing, you might say like, I'm going to the gym. I'm like, this has happened to me. Like, I feel like I'm doing a lot, but I don't feel like I'm getting better. But the thing is, you're putting yourself on a path where you're doing the right thing and you're working towards it. So like that itself is like you making progress by, rather than, you know what, I've been doing this. I've been going to the gym. I've been going out here. I've been putting myself out there and it's not getting better. I'm just going to not do it. That's not going to get you anywhere. Sometimes you have to just, keep trying different things, stay consistent. And there's a balance of, do what makes you happy, do what you want to do, and do what you have to do. And I agree 100% with, your assessment of, you know, when you're learning something new, even if it's like an instrument. Like if I see someone playing, I've always wanted to learn to play the violin, right? This is a funny story. I've always wanted
to learn an instrument.
It's, dude, John Williams, bro. John Williams.
I would say that my violin to me would be the cello.
Oh, nice.
I like the violin, but like
the cello, dude. No,
cello is really good.
I think I love the sound of the cello better, just like that deep low, like, but
it's not like too deep, you know.
Yeah,
it's not quite like the bass.
Yeah, for sure. But it's too big of an instrument, too much to manage.
I get like a case for it too.
Oh god, just like, yeah. Anyway. So violin. What was I think this was COVID time. I play guitar, I play piano, I play ukulele. I'm like, yeah, I can do the violin, no problem. Easy, baby, easy.
It'll just translate. It'll take me.
It'll translate. I'll be like, I'll just search up a YouTube tutorial. I'll just like figure it out. Like I have a good ear for music.
Yeah,
no big deal. So my mom rents me a violin for my birthday, and I'm like, okay. So then, she was like, okay, like when we got the violin at the violin place, my mom was like, you know, like you should like let's just ask for some like basic like pointers. I'm like, mom, me pointers. I know. I'm exaggerating.
Who I am.
I'm the Cobra Kai kid.
Come on, Mom.
No, I'm exaggerating, but there was still like
Yeah.
like Mom, I'll figure it out. It's fine. Like
Yeah.
I don't need the lessons. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it
Mhm.
out. And it wasn't like me being like I wasn't being this super like pretentious, but I kind of like I was like I I didn't know what it entailed.
Mhm.
I tried to play the violin. It did not go well. And I was like, "Oh shoot, this isn't something you could just pick up." Like ukulele, I was able to pick up very
Mhm.
quickly because of the guitar. It did translate over a bit.
Yeah.
Um, oh my god, violin's so different. Now, I could have kept working on it and get better. I just didn't, and that was on me. And I'm it was it was something that I realized. It was like a good experience that happened to me because it was like
Mhm.
you don't just because you can play guitar and piano doesn't mean you can play the violin, Drew. It doesn't mean you can just like just because you can do XYZ doesn't mean you can do this. And
Mhm.
if you want to do it, like violin wasn't my number one like passion. I need to play the violin.
Mhm.
Um, I would like to, and maybe one day I will. Now I know if I do, I gotta be willing to put in the work,
Mhm.
and I wasn't at the time. But when you're passionate about something, I feel like it's easier to put in that work.
Mhm.
Have you had something that you were really passionate about where like for me, like basketball, I love basketball. So it's like it was on me. I would train every day. Like I would train. I had a trainer, but I would do it myself. Like, did you have something that where it was on you and you kind of challenge yourself as hard as someone else challenging you to do?
Um. Yeah, I think uh, right around right around high school or towards the end of high school, I was really getting into cameras, and that's where I was going to school, was to film school, because I'm big into cameras. And I was making a short film at the end of high school, with just my buddies, and I never finished it, but I did finish the trailer. But
Nice.
um, and uh, so I mean, I went in on it. Like, I'm watching every YouTube tutorial. I'm like, I I bought a camera, like just an entry level Nikon camera, just so I can learn the buttons and what things are and what, like, and uh it it took a lot of work, and they didn't look good. My
Mm.
photos did not look good. Um but every now and then there was like one photo that was like, oh, okay, I did something there. And yeah, I don't know, it took a lot of work. And I think what college helped with that part, was uh the discipline part.
Mm.
For me, I'm very not self-disciplined at all. I'm very rebellious. Like, um I
You are
I
part of the Rebel Alliance.
and a traitor.
There we go.
There
This
we
is
go.
2
You
hours in.
gotta get one of them there. Yeah, I was really rebellious. I didn't want to do homework. I didn't, if someone was telling me to do school things, I didn't want to do it.
For
But
sure.
then I started going to school for something I was interested in. And then I had people again telling me to do things and giving me homework. And
Mm.
but because I was interested in it, I was like, okay, I'll play your game, teacher man. We'll see where this goes, I guess.
Yeah.
And because of that outside discipline, I uh, I was able to practice and get better. And then you get outside. I got outside of college, and I had nobody telling me to do things outside of like work, like show up, do your job. Um, so nobody's, especially outside of school, nobody's forcing you anymore to do anything. And so there's this discipline part, and that's I think that's Um, that's been my word for this year. I don't officially do like a word to focus on each year. But sometimes it just kind of happens, and I can kind of relate to like, okay, this last year I was working on, I don't know exactly what the words are, but this year I think it's been a lot of self-discipline, learning to, if there's things that I want to get better at, and if there's things that I want to accomplish, I have to do them. And one of those things is, if I'm gonna start doing things like doing a video with you, things are gonna start piling up, and you're gonna start doing some of these things, and you're gonna need to keep track of them. And that's where a calendar kind of comes in.
No.
And I haven't used a calendar. I mean, I've off and on used calendars, but I haven't like used a calendar since like elementary school, when they forced you to use a planner, and they gave you a physical planner. And maybe nowadays they use Google calendars or something, but yeah. So I'm like, I want to be more serious about my content creation. I want to be more serious about my streaming, and I want to be more serious about remembering when things are happening. And so I am disciplining myself. I hate using it. I hate doing a calendar, but I'm forcing myself to use a calendar, and it's been really helpful.
Yeah.
Actually, I stopped. I mean, I was streaming maybe once a week for like the past like 5 months, and I used to stream 4 days a week. Because when I was streaming 4 days a week in the past, that was my hyperfixation. I was super excited about streaming and playing Minecraft on live with people. And then I started losing passion for it. And so it's kind of like the honeymoon phase of something you're excited about, where you have all this natural passion for it. But I still have a passion for it. I just can't just naturally do it anymore. So self-disciplining myself and using a calendar, putting a stream on my phone, on my calendar, saying Tuesday at 6 p.m. I'm going to stream, and then putting that on my Discord where I post all my schedules and whatnot, and telling people who come to watch my streams, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be streaming at 6 p.m. Now there's accountability that I just added to that, because now, I mean, if I cancel my stream, it's not the end of the world. Like, because life gets in the way, but maybe some people might be disappointed because they were expecting to come home from work and watch a stream or something. So there's a little bit of like accountability there now. And I'm not going to be really dwelling on making sure that I like really keep that commitment, because if life gets in the way, things happen. Perfect example. We were supposed to record Monday. We were supposed to record this video Monday. It is now Saturday.
Yeah.
And life got in the way for me, and I was having a day. And to then, after having a day, to talk about mindfulness, I mean, maybe it could have been a good thing while it's fresh in the moment, but maybe not.
No.
And I really wanted this video to go well.
Yeah.
So I recognized that I'm maybe not in the right mindset right now to kind of talk about some of this stuff. And I was honest with you about it, and you were really good about it, and it was fantastic. And we just rescheduled it, and now I feel like it was going good,
For sure. Yeah, I'm really glad that you told me that, because that was the first time I had anyone ever. I mean, I've had people cancel or reschedule me, but that was the first time anyone said, I just don't know if I'm like feeling. I had a rough day, or I'm not feeling great today, and I
Mhm.
was like, that's like I appreciate that, because I've had to cancel and reschedule streams because I just wasn't in a great place mentally,
Mhm.
and I just knew I just wouldn't be able to do it, and I
Mhm.
just knew I wouldn't. Like, I was like, can we do it later in the week? Like, I hate to reschedule and cancel, because I don't want to,
Mhm.
like, make it inconvenient, but I know if I'm not up for it
Then
and
it's
I
the
can't do it, can't do it.
then it's just not gonna. It, you're recognizing that in the state that you are, you need to let it be what it was. Um, and like we were saying before, like if you're feeling sad or hurt or angry or something or any emotion, sometimes you need to kind of just let it be what it is. And I was going something with that, but
well, well, I for sure, and to go off of what you were saying, about, like, the calendar and stuff. Like, I have a calendar. I
you kind of inspired me to do a calendar, actually.
wait, did I?
Kind
Oh,
of, yeah.
did I share it with you? Did I tell you?
You,
Did
you I don't know necessarily what specifically you're about to
I showed
go
you the
into.
emojis?
No, but I just remember you saying that you use a calendar, and I see how often you're posting your videos, and I'm like,
Uh,
is the thing that's getting in my way a calendar? Do I need to be
okay.
keeping track of this thing?
So, like, so tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow I'm doing a 5K run with my mom.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. So I have on my calendar, I don't know if you can see it. Oh yeah, there you go. 5K run with mom, and I have a little running emoji. And
Nice.
then the Knicks game is on at 3:30. I have the basketball
Basketball
emoji.
emoji.
Basketball. So now listen. Did I now you might say, "Oh, that's an easy day." I'm not done updating the schedule. Also, I wanted to make sure, because you see, this is why having a calendar is great, because
Mm-hmm.
look, I have a lot of stuff to do today. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason I put a lot well, the reason for that is I put stuff on my schedule. But tomorrow, 5K run with my mom. I don't know how long that's going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while, and I also want to enjoy the time. I don't want to be with my
Yeah.
mom and then think about, like, oh, I have to go home and record this,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Knicks game is on. So I'm trying to make my schedule. That's why, like, it's nice, honestly, having those two things, because in
Mm-hmm.
my mind, it's like, that's the day to enjoy being with mom, doing a
Mm-hmm.
run,
And
not
then
worrying about other
enjoy
stuff,
the game later.
enjoy the game. And then I have other days I have stuff on my schedule. I'll probably add something on there, just to after the game. I'm sure I'll have some time, but yeah, having a calendar has been super helpful. And then what I do is, if I really need to do what it is I have to do in that moment, like, I'll do it. But if I have record this today, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? I have a lot going on today. Something came up. I can't do that today, but I can do it tomorrow. Then
Mm-hmm.
I'll just move it over. But having that structure
Mm-hmm.
for me is really important. That's on me. Another thing is work. I've never worked at, like, any place. Like, I've never had, like, a
Mm-hmm.
9 to 5 job or anything like that. I've made money through, like, myself, like, doing, like when I was younger, I would do babysitting. I would like I would help, like, people, like, move things, and like, plant their garden. I don't know, like random, like, weird
Mm-hmm.
different things. um Today I have YouTube, Cobra Kai Kid. I
Shout out.
have shout out. I teach guitar lessons. I teach basketball. Sometimes I walk dogs. So those are all things that, like, are kind of like me. Kind of, it's on me now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could do a 9 to 3 job or whatever, but, like, that's not where I'm at right now with like school. Like it's
Mhm.
more, it's better for me at the moment. And honestly, I don't know if that's what I want to do. Like I don't know yet. It's not
Yeah.
something that's like I'm trying to carve my own way, and I'm really like enjoying, having it be on me and kind of creating these
Mhm.
rather than doing a 9 to 3 job, something that I don't want to do.
Mhm.
I love I love making YouTube videos. I can make some money off that. I love basketball, love guitar, and I enjoy working with kids. So teaching them. I love dogs, walking dogs, babysitting. I love kids. So it's like, getting all those things in there.
Yeah.
And it's like it's on me. I'm
Yeah.
trying. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's really something to um like kind of carving the way for yourself and kind of like you said, you have all these different interests and you're doing all of them and you're making it, um and I think there's um at film school there was a person who had come into our class as like a guest speaker, kind of talking
Mhm.
on some things, and I believe he was like a director, I guess. And we were really the whole class. I mean, it was a small class. It was like maybe 9 of us
Oh,
and this guy. So we're just having a conversation about film and getting really excited about it. And I had made a comment at one point. I'm like to him, I'm like, man, it's like I can't see myself doing something that I don't enjoy for a living. And his response still sits with me because he said that like I'm referring to people just doing a 9 to 5 job that they probably don't really enjoy.
yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with a 9 to 5 job.
And
Just
that's
saying.
exactly what I'm about to get at.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I
Exactly.
know. I brought that up. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Because what he was saying was like, sometimes people's passion uh, doesn't have to be your career. And maybe you do a job just to, get a bit of an income, and then your passions are whatever it is you do at home.
for sure.
Um, or just outside of work in general. Because maybe your passion is uh, going up to homeless people and giving them things and like gift cards for food places or just money or helping them out in some way. Maybe that's your passion, but that doesn't make money. Not not
Uh,
every single passion needs to have an income
for sure. For
attached to it.
sure.
And your calling may not have an income attached to it, and that's okay.
That's a great point. I love music. Absolutely love music. And I want to do music for the rest of my life, but I don't think it's going to be a career for me. That I mean that's a huge thing to do to make money, and you gotta be really good. And I just do it for fun.
Mhm.
I think that's a great point. And just because you're working doesn't mean you can't make time for your passions.
Mhm.
Like you should always make time for something that you love doing.
Mhm.
Always, like whenever
But
you can.
yeah, just know that it's okay that it may not be an income.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
hopefully it is. Like
Well,
that's
yes,
my
sometimes
goal.
those things line up and that
Yeah.
works out really well. But also at the same time, you may be going this way. Like you may really enjoy something. Um, and for me, video creation is one of those things.
Yeah.
In high school, I'm like, I want to make movies. And then I go to film school and I'm like, yeah, okay, I really want to do this. That's what I want to do. And then I get out of film school and you're not making movies right away,
Yeah.
like because you want to make movies, but you also want to use filmmaking as an income. And in Minnesota, the like the two biggest things that those skills make money on is commercials and weddings.
Mm.
Two things I don't want to be a part of.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, and so I had started to lose passion for video creation. Like I'd edit for my job every day. So then when I go home and I want to edit my own things, I don't because it's the passion's not there because I've already expended it at work.
Yeah.
And so what I'm getting at is like, there's sometimes you go through something and maybe you find out that you're calling to be a film director, like myself. I want to be the next Christopher Nolan, right? Like, and I think what I've learned from that is I don't necessarily want to be a film director. I want people to revere my artistic works as substantial. Everybody views the next Christopher Nolan movie, you know, wow, oh my goodness, like his movies are fantastic. And every time you go to see one, that's like, whoa, it outdoes the last one.
Yeah.
And that's what I really want. I don't really want to be a film director because, you know, the actual experience of being a film director, maybe isn't for me. Yeah. So maybe you've gone through the route of like doing it as a passion project just for fun. And then you're like, I want to start making money off of this. Yeah. Because I want to make it my career. And then maybe you're like, you're realizing that like those things, you're not really enjoying it anymore. And it's okay to maybe stop doing it as a career and go back to just doing it for yourself for fun. And that's kind of where I'm at now is that's kind of why I'm getting into content creation and that kind of stuff, because that's where I find it more enjoyable for myself.
For sure. I think that's a great point that you brought up. Just because you love something doesn't mean doing it as a career is the best thing. You know, I started making money off of YouTube, and it's really cool because it's what I love doing. But I've been doing it for 5 years, and there have been certain points where I just couldn't do it. I've had to take breaks. I was just really stressed and upset. I literally stayed away from video making and turned to other interests that were away from that. Now, is it that I didn't like filmmaking or video making? No. If I was making music for a living and I was getting anxiety and stress through that, I'm sure I would like be like, I need a break from this. I'm going to go make some movies. Yeah, sometimes it's easier for me to because there's less pressure. There's less pressure. That's a big thing with me with music. Music, I don't. It's just fun. I don't. It's not tied to anything. It's not a career. So there is that balance, and I think it's important. And I've caught myself like when I start to lose the passion, I take a step back and I look at like, am I losing the passion for filmmaking, or am I losing the passion for this aspect of filmmaking? And then I maybe rear away from that and go to something else that does make me happy. And I also try to work hard, but moderate it, and remember, like, you love doing this, like, and it's such a life is about balance, and it's such a difficult balance when you're doing something in life. If you're doing a career that you don't like, it's like, all right, that you have no expectations, you have no pressure, you don't like it, it's whatever, you're making money. That's it. Your goal is to make money. But if you have a job and it's tied with a passion, it's like, and you want to enjoy it, but then make money and it's work, that can be really tricky. That's never easy. So that's balance.
Yeah, I mean, specifically with like filmmaking stuff. And what I've learned about, you know, working for myself doing video is it's 80% a business and 20% video production. And I don't like running a business.
Yeah.
I just want to do the video creation part. And you know, that's where the discipline kind of thing comes in. And so if you really enjoy that 20% and you're okay with doing the other 80%, then maybe put that discipline in, and maybe that's what I need to do. But I don't know where I was going with that, but
Well, to pick up on that, it's like my passion lies with creating and being in front of the camera and talking and acting and making my skits and doing fun stuff. And I do a lot of that. And then like right now, I have 4 videos that I'm working on that are not Cobra Kai related. They're completely like different things that I'm trying out. And you know, I've pretty much filmed them. They're done. Like I did the creative stuff. Now I gotta edit, and that's taken a freaking long time. And that's not my passion. That's not what I'm good at now. Like, can I pay for an editor? Yeah, well, like, but like that's a lot of money, and like I'm trying to do something that will maybe make me money, and I'm not really like at that point where I can invest in an editor now. Like, I'm not making enough that like to even it out or whatever. So
yeah,
that's a tricky one, and I just have to remind myself it's like it's what you love doing, but it's also like there's parts of it that you're not going to love every part of what you do, you know?
Yeah. And that's where the discipline part comes in, is just, you know, sometimes what you're doing kind of sucks. Sometimes editing sucks.
Yeah.
And sometimes editing takes way too long. And sometimes it feels like it's taking too long, which makes you not want to work on it.
Oh my God.
Which makes it take longer.
Exactly. That's what happened to me. It's like sometimes I just like don't do it. Like sometimes it's like this is taking a long time, but I'm actually not doing it because I know it's like hard and I'm kind of avoiding it. That's never the answer.
I hate editing.
It's tough. It's tough.
But I love editing. You know, like when you get in that mode and you're like on a roll and you're just cooking, you know,
that's a great feeling.
And spaghetti's flying everywhere and you're just really cooking. Then it's fun.
Well, going back to It's On You, you know, you and I, let's say you and I, we can edit the same project. For one of us, it could take an hour. The other person, it could take 5 hours. We chose what we wanted to put into it. Now, most likely the person that put 5 hours into it will probably have a better result, but that's on us. We're choosing to.
Yeah. And comparing too, right? Like what if we literally create the same video, but it took me 5 hours and it took you 1 hour?
And what if like the person who did 1 hour was better? It's like, oh my God, theirs was better, and it was in a shorter time.
And they did it shorter. Well, now if you go past just comparing and you start to have like empathy for this person and you start to kind of think about, okay, how did they get there? How do they do that in an hour? Well, okay, they've been editing for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And this is your second year editing. Well, that's probably why.
Yeah, you know? Exactly.
And you can't compare yourself. You can't, at 2 years of editing, you can't compare yourself to someone who's editing for 10 years. So
for sure. The only person you should compare yourself with is yourself. It's like if wow, last year I had no clue how to edit. This year I'm editing videos. Like, dude.
Yeah.
Props. You know?
Yeah.
All right, should we go into the final one?
Let's do it.
What is this one? The final rule.
Life is short. Enjoy it while you have it. Exactly. Just try to I think what this means is be present with where you're at. And sometimes where you're at isn't, you don't really want to be smiling.
Yeah.
And so what I think that means is be present where you're at and recognize and let it be what it is. So if you're in a moment that's kind of not great, let it be not great, and eventually it will come around. But at the same time, as much as you can, try to smile, like try to make it a good time. Turn it from this is going to be hard work to turn it to it is an adventure, to bring it back to that statement from earlier. kind of trick yourself, bring some of that magic for yourself to enjoy it.
For sure. Smiling it's not just like smiling, but being like no. Okay. All right, no, I got it.
Okay.
Like when you meet someone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?" Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that doesn't make you feel good. That doesn't make anyone feel good. But then, like, what
Mm-hmm.
happens when you meet someone who's like, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. How you doing? Oh, like, what's your name?" Like, and like putting their best foot forward, positive energy, positivity. That just like that can make two people feel really good,
Mm-hmm.
you know, rather than bringing like both people down with negative energy. So, yeah, it's what you said. It's being in the present, living in the moment. Yes, like you're not gonna always smile. It's like if something sad happens, something bad happens,
Mm-hmm.
like we're not like it's not like, oh, smile. Like you gotta
Mm-hmm.
no, but if you're like sometimes I'll be out with my little cousins, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have one cousin who's 5, one cousin who's 2, and I absolutely adore them. And like, you know, sometimes before that I'll be dealing with a lot of stress or anxiety or depression. I'll feel very lonely or whatever. But then like I remind myself like I'm with my 2 little rays of sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, like they love me, I love them. Like they're telling me like they're playing with me, smiling with me, and like we're having the best time. It's like, you know, just enjoying that rather than thinking about
Mm-hmm.
what I don't have. Like I have these like 2 amazing cousins who I love spending time with and who are happy and I'm happy, and I'm gonna enjoy that rather than thinking about, you know, what I don't have, thinking
Mm-hmm.
about what I do have, and
And
trying
I
to
think that's
smile.
being present, right? Like
Yeah.
that you're recognizing that this is where you are right now in this moment. And in that moment, you could be thinking about, oh, I should have worked harder today. And it's like, okay, let that maybe, but like, let that be where that is. But like right now, there's outside things happening for myself, but right now I'm just having a conversation with you.
We're
And
here.
that's what I'm focusing on. That's what I'm, you know, there's always things you can be thinking about. And yeah.
It's important to smile, and smiling can just be so like you can just do so much. Just like smiling at a
Mm-hmm.
person, smiling to yourself. Um
It's kind of a bit of that magic again. And
yeah.
sometimes it takes work to force yourself to smile. And then sometimes when you force yourself to smile, bring an energy and an excitement towards somebody, and then they can reciprocate that back to you. And then maybe you can get enjoyment from that.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's a little bit easier, but kind of, it could start with you.
It could that's a great point. Like you may not be your best, but like when you're going out and hanging with a group of friends, like they might like someone might like if you're going out hanging with a friend, they might be feeling down too. But if you like bring that positive energy, like you might like spread that onto them, and like that could be really great. And also you know, look at yourself, smile, praise yourself for things that you do well, be easy on yourself, love yourself. um it can be tough sometimes, but like, you know, when you do something that's good, even if it's something simple, like you got out of bed and you took a shower, you know, like
Sometimes it's tough to do.
it
I mean,
is, it
it
is.
is. It is tough to do
I've
sometimes.
I've had moments where I was I would take a shower and
Mm-hmm.
just even like washing my hair was like I was
Mm-hmm.
really down. Like I was really
Mm-hmm.
down. Like just wash like just I did wash my hair ultimately, but like it was just like tough. It was just like, oh, like I'm like so like
Mm-hmm.
I'm frozen. but be proud of yourself when you do something good. Smile even though your heart's breaking.
There you go.
the song.
Frank Sinatra.
Right, Sinatra. There you go. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So before we wrap up, we've
Mm-hmm.
been chatting mental health, mindfulness for a while. Let's.
Oh, you're gonna have a lot to edit here.
Oh my, no, I'm leaving most of it. We're gonna have a
Okay.
like a raw, authentic discussion.
Oh, heck yeah.
I think this is great. Really quickly, let's before we start the stream, Max and I we went through the 7 rules on our own, and we chose 3 that we thought were most important to us. So to remind everybody, the rules are: let it go, be yourself, give it time, don't compare, stop thinking too much, it's on you, and smile. So, Max, what are your 3? Well, what was your criteria? I know I said like most important or most important to you.
Mhm.
Like what were your 3, and like why did you maybe choose these 3 in
Yeah.
a brief? Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me right now, the 3 that are the most important to myself that maybe I just needed, I think what my criteria was ones that maybe I need to focus on more and kind of work on more. And that was the be yourself one, the don't compare one, and the stop thinking too much one. Because I feel like all 3 of those kind of go together for me. I compare myself to a lot of people, and in that moment when I'm comparing, I'm wishing I was them in that specific scenario. I have a friend from college who's been running his own business doing video production, and I'm really proud of him because he's doing it. Like he bought his own house recently based just from his own business. And for me, I have a hard time disciplining myself and also talking to people and running your own business. And I don't like doing any of those things.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true, but but those things were tough for me, and maybe it just comes easier for him. I don't know, but I was comparing myself to him because I wished I was running my own business, because then you make your own hours, and he's also doing kind of well for himself. He's got a nice car, and my car is kind of a junker. It's got no AC. It's got no radio, and over the winter it didn't have any heat for like a month there. Luckily, this past winter was, mild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, and the be yourself one is something I'm constantly struggling with. I mean, I told a story about first grade earlier, right? So that one has been with me for a while. I don't think it'll ever go away.
Yeah. Yeah, don't let go of that,
Yeah. What I mean by it won't go away is the struggle with trying to just let myself be myself. I don't think that struggle is going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's kind of the case for a lot of these things, is when people say like it gets better with time, the way it gets better with time is you are working on it, and you've kind of figured yourself out a little bit, and you've learned some tools.
Yeah.
And now you have those tools that you didn't have before. And it's not that the problem went away. It's that you've now equipped yourself to be able to take it on.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. I was gonna add to that, but I Boo. Wait, what was that last thing you said? I'm like blanking out.
I was saying
The last
the
sentence.
tools. I said something about tools.
Tool.
I
Having
was
the
saying
tools.
that having the tools, like the problem may not go away, but the thing that gets better with time is that you are prepared for it and you know how to work with it.
Yeah, for sure. It's I agree. Like giving it time isn't just lying in bed for 3 years and like, okay, time has passed. You have to take those steps, and with those steps, the time comes in. But I love that. And I like how you chose things that are with you right now. I chose 3 things that are, these are probably not the 3 things like for me in this moment. I would have probably gone for 3 different things, but these are 3 things that I feel like generally I in my lifetime feel are the most important, and that I think other people maybe like it would benefit like more of a general like out of these 7 rules, what are the 3 most important in my eyes, rather than but I did like how you brought up what for what is for you. And I'm sure if there's a lot of different answers. For me, I have be yourself. I think in general, when you're yourself, you attract the right people, and also you attract happiness, because I mean, if you're not yourself, if you're someone else, like you're going to live a different life. You gotta be authentic. Stop thinking too much is a big one. And the reason I chose that one is because like, it does kind of tie into the let it go, don't compare, where it's like, just stop thinking so much about the little things, because that's how you move forward. There's so many times where I've made these like little mistakes, and like look, there are big mistakes. There are big mistakes that don't deserve forgiveness. But more often we do these little things like Max, that's a great blue shirt you're wearing. Oh my God, it's green. I'm so sorry. Like, and then it's like, I mean, okay, that was a terrible example, but like,
no, I know exactly what you're getting at. Is
it's a little mistake. It's an honest mistake.
It's an honest mistake, and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Like, it's just the color of my shirt.
For sure. And sometimes we make like that was a very like that was nothing. But sometimes we make not like mistakes happen where sometimes we'll say something and then we'll like catch ourselves. And that I feel like is very important. Either to catch ourselves, or when someone brings up something to acknowledge. Because if you have a thought in your head for months that you're gonna do this action, and it's a bad one, and you're constantly thinking about it, and you're set on that, like that's not good. Like you're a person with bad intentions, bad motives. But if you're someone who's chatting with your friend and you're feeling good, you're saying good, you feel comfortable, and maybe you accidentally say something that came off as offensive. Maybe it's not what you meant. Maybe you said it, but you didn't know that it would hurt this person like that, and that wasn't your intention. If you notice that, it's really important to catch yourself and apologize. And then oftentimes someone else will say, hey, like you brought something in you said something, it hurt my feelings, and just saying like, I'm so sorry, not what I meant. There are times when people will bring stuff up, or like you'll bring something up to someone else. Hey, this hurt my feelings. And they're like, well, you shouldn't be such a baby about it. And they kind of discredit you. Like that's on them. Everyone's entitled to their feelings. But yeah, stop thinking too much. And then the last one I got is smile. Just in general, being in the moment, being positive, and also taking like little like I think everything we're saying, it's all about little steps. Like this isn't just like you just do this major step, like little redirections. I might go like, okay, I have to, like, let's say I have to go grocery shopping. Oh man, I don't want to go grocery shopping. Like, it's boring, whatever. But it's like, okay, let me turn it around. Like, I'm gonna get some like nice snacks. I'm gonna do this or whatever. Like, or like even like
reward yourself.
yourself. I try to do that. I like, you know, I'm very cautious about how I spend money. You know, because like, I mean, especially if you're in a place where you can't just spend. You gotta be aware. However, like if I was on a film set all day and it was a lot of work and I was kind of miserable, afterwards I'll be like, you deserve some Domino's pizza. And
Absolutely,
I treat myself. I'm like, you deserve this. Like, so
absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my three. Be yourself, stop thinking too much, and smile. And yeah, we'd love to hear your three. So out of let it go, be yourself, give it time, don't compare, stop thinking too much, it's on you, smile. What are your three most important rules of life for you or in general? And also comment like what other, there's so many other rules of life that we haven't even gone into. So like, you know,
is there an eighth rule?
Is there an eighth rule? Is there a ninth? I think doing your best can be another rule.
I'm sure there's, you know, much more than 7. I'm sure it's probably like 3,000.
Yeah. So okay, so next time we'll do the 3,000 rules of life, which will probably give us about like
3 hours for 7.
I know,
that adds up to, let's see,
multiple days.
Yeah. Let's do like a marathon.
A marathon, like an hour.
The marathon rules of life.
Oh my,
and we'll live stream it too, so we have to do it in one sitting.
Oh man, well, like by the time like we're done, like I'll grow out a full beard, like
oh yeah,
hair turns gray, like oh man. Well, this was a blast. It was good, you know. It's also important, like you see, like we're talking about important stuff, right? But we're laughing too, and we're smiling. Like just because you're talking about mindfulness and like these things, like doesn't mean you can't have fun and like
absolutely.
Like look, sometimes I like, you know, make jokes about my depression. Like I don't know, like sometimes like it's funny. I don't know.
That's I think laughter, and that's kind of ties into the smile thing. I think laughter, when they say laughter is the best medicine, and I've really kind of you know, it depends.
Yeah, like you could like say like
if you have a sinus infection, maybe take some antibiotics or something, but but laughter being the best medicine is in like if you can laugh about it, then what that does is it takes it off a pedestal, and it makes it less serious,
for sure,
which makes it much more approachable, I think, and easier to deal with.
Yeah, like if you and I were walking on the street, right, and I tripped and I fell and my face landed in the pie, and I wasn't hurt, like I could come up and start crying and like be like, oh my god, or I could like laugh it off and be like, whoop de doop doo, I'm just such a like, and then we all start laughing, and then like it's more like for myself, it's more like for me to like you know, I could say everything's going wrong today, this is the worst day, or everything's going wrong, it's not going the way or I could be like, man, I'm just having a terrible day, and I can make a joke out of it. It's like usually it's easier to it depends. For me, it's easier to joke about depression when it's certain things that I've already gone through.
Absolutely, yeah.
If I'm going through something, I'm not making jokes about it. Sometimes I will. I'll be like, this is kind of funny, but I don't know. It's a serious matter, but it's okay to laugh and smile and you know, because I mean literally that's why we're here. That's like I feel like that's the point of life, is to smile
and experience
and love and have fun. And yeah, we're gonna have tough times, but we don't have tough times to just have more tough times. We have tough times to get to the good times. So yeah, there you go. Any final thoughts? Well, first off, where
Yeah.
can everybody check you out? On socials?
Yeah. I mean, I'm most active on Instagram and Twitch currently.
Okay.
Things will change, but yeah, over on Twitch, you can find me at Jaret Well, formerly Jaret 50 Cal, because I've just switched it yesterday.
Woo.
Very anxiety inducing, but it happened. And yeah, find me over on Jaret Well on twitch.tv and also on Instagram at Jaret Well as well.
Awesome. And I'll put the links in the description below too. So we'll have you covered with that.
Cool.
But yeah, my final thoughts are, I mean, this was a great discussion. We said we were gonna go an hour.
Things happen, man. You know,
it's
things
3
happen.
hours. So I hope you're okay.
I'm getting a couple texts, but I'll be okay. I'll be okay.
Okay, we'll wrap it up. But no, it was a great chat. You know, there's so much to unpack with this stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And hopefully, you know, I mean, this helped me just chatting with you, like, and getting your insights on certain things. It's like talking about it helps.
Just talking things out, I think it's kind of helps you figure it out in your own way. And also just makes you feel not alone in it, which
for sure
feel a lot better.
Yeah, that's why I try to be look, there's certain things I keep personal because it's just personal, it doesn't need to be out there, but I do try to be like very authentic with well, I am authentic, it's just a matter of like keeping certain personal things.
Yeah,
but I try to share certain examples and certain stories because I want people to, you know that like I'm a real person and relate. You know, like I think if we were able in 3 hours, if we were able to say one thing that resonated with one person, like that's amazing. And I hope we did. So like, yeah, let us know if we did. Hopefully. And yeah, what about you? What do you think? I'm throwing it to you.
You probably cut out this pause, but yeah, I think definitely find somebody who you can trust enough to have an open conversation with, where you're not going to be judged for every little thing you say.
Yeah.
Because there's things you want to talk about that are kind of tough to bring up to people. And so if you have somebody who you can talk with, even if it's just to vent and just let things out, that can go a long way.
And you can say like I've sometimes told like my mom, like I'm like, listen, Ma, like right now I just need to vent. Like I know like sometimes like other people feel the need to give advice. I'm like, you don't have to give me advice. I know you're here for me. I know you love me. Yeah. I just need
that can come from love too, and that can be the wrong answer for you. I know a lot of times in my relationship with Kay is like she'll start venting to me about something, and I'll start, I feel like as a guy, like we try to fix things. And so our go-to is like, oh, there's a problem, here's a solution. And maybe at the moment, at least in the moment, like sure, they could probably use a solution, but in the moment they're angry and they just need to vent, or they're sad and they need to vent.
For sure. And also another thing is like, we could see someone else going through a situation and we might have this obvious answer like, oh, like you should do that.
Just do this.
Like if your boyfriend is treating you like crap, you should break up with them. But like that's what we would do. But sometimes
what I'll say to that is you're not going to do something unless you want to do it. And so if you see somebody who's struggling and it kind of hurts you to watch them struggle, but it's like you've also been through that struggle, like especially if you've been through that struggle and you're like, okay, here's like, I know exactly what you need to do to get out of it.
Here's my take.
Yeah. You can't just walk up to them and say, okay, you need to start doing this, because if they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. So The best you can do is provide examples of how you've gone through it, and if they're willing and wanting advice, then providing some advice. But they're gonna come to it on their own time.
Yeah. And asking questions. I know I was talking about that earlier. Like,
Yeah.
like I've seen like, certain movies like where like someone will just be ranting to someone and then they'll
Mhm.
just like have this conversation with themselves and they'll be like, thanks for helping. You were great. And meanwhile, the other person didn't say anything.
Mhm.
Sometimes by you just asking questions, you're not giving it like you might have a certain thing that you're trying to
Mhm.
lean them towards, but like you're just asking and you're basically putting it in their hands.
Mhm.
And if they come up with a good, healthy decision for themselves, great. It depends. If you have a close family member who is going through trouble and they clearly need help, then yes, like you
Mhm.
got to take some
Mhm.
steps. If it's a stranger
Mhm.
who this is their life, you're not involved in it. Like you can't try and help everybody's like
Mhm.
you can be there for people, but you can't solve everyone's problems
Mhm.
because what's rule number 6? It's on you.
Mhm.
You know?
It's on you, and it's also on them. And you you won't be able to fix them.
Yeah.
But the best you can do is be there for them, provide examples, and ask questions. Help them come to the conclusion themselves, especially if you've been through it. Yeah, use questions as a way of helping them figure it out for themselves, because that'll mean more to them, I think.
For sure. So everyone, hope you enjoyed this discussion. This is super fun. Hope you got something out of it. Remember, keep the conversation going. This is important. And subscribe to Mindfulness Kid and subscribe to Max's channels. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Mindfulness Kid. Bye.